Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Apostate Prophet. I hope everyone is having a fantastic little day. I'm still waiting for Adin, or I think I'm supposed to say Adin. I will ask him how I'm supposed to pronounce it, but yeah, it's Adin Haykin from Israel. A very sharp, very bright, very informed, very well informed, very nice guy. To together review the debate between Destiny and Sully. And specifically, so a few days ago, when was that? Was this Saturday? Yeah, on Saturday I reviewed one part of it, the first part where Destiny and Sully are talking about whether Islam is the future or not. Where Sully says, "I believe Islam is the future," and Destiny says, "No, it's garbage." So we reviewed that. I decided to sit down and together with I didn't go to the middle part of it, which is about October 7 and the war that is currently going on, where Silly Sully made a lot of stupid assertions, like that that October 7 was a hoax, that Israel killed their own civilians, that Hamas didn't do anything to anybody, and all that. So we are and I didn't even watch the whole thing. I kind of want to go into it cold and fresh, unlike Fresh and Fit. So we will look at that. And Aiden is very, very well informed on all the facts. So we're going to do that. And I'm thinking of dissecting the last part of that debate, which is about Aisha's age, at some point with David. Probably not tonight, but sometime this week. Because I like looking at stuff that Destiny does with other people. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's not weird at all. So that's what we're going to do. Destiny's debate with Sulaiman Ahmed. For those who are not aware of who Sulaiman Ahmed is, he's an imbecile. I hope that clarifies it. Okay. Follow Adin Haykin on X. Okay. On October 7. Okay. Just trying to finish everything up here. Still waiting for him to join, but as soon as he's here, yeah, he was actually here before me. Obviously, he's not like me. He was actually here before, on time, but then he had to leave due to quickly a little family issue. And is supposed to come back in a little bit. So obviously it's not somebody else's fault that we are late. You know, he was here on time. It is just an act of God. That's what's happening. So, yes, let's see what's up here. The white trash panel said maybe the real culprit is the goats we gripped along the way. The real culprit. That's good. That's good. I still need to make a clip. I still need to publish a clip called Muslim preacher graped on live stream, or Muslim preacher graped in the middle of live stream, just from that moment, that moment of Ali Dawa being graped by his friend. Mr. Bukhari says, Brother Ridwan, forgive me for not paying jizya. I will forgive you this time. Since you paid now, you will be spared from being killed. So that's good. That's good news. Eric and Abgunay said, we love Dawood Wahid. No, his name is Dawood. Dawood. That would be his rapper name. Nuwan Walters made a super chat. Thank you so much, Nuwan Walters. Appreciate it. Very, 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 very much. Very much, very much, very helpful. Christian Sanchez, Alhamdulillah, where is Mike Winger? He's a little bit late. Mike Winger is supposed to join. I mean, David Winger. Yeah, he's supposed to join us soon. No, he's not actually. David is not going to join us. He'll join us tonight. Tonight we're going to go on this boring Christian channel. What's it called? The Gospel Truth. We're going to go on this boring Christian channel where I will be forced to sit down with a bunch of Christians. Why am I doing this to myself, man? And where we will talk about our objections to Islam, especially from a Christian perspective. So we will do that. It is the Gospel Truth, I think, is it? I think it's called the Gospel Truth. That's where we will be tonight. So we will go on that live stream where David and I will be as the two foremost experts on Islam. We will be asked to give our perspective and all that. Yeah. Gideon's World said, did you see RR plans on making more vids refuting David Wood? Really? Really? I support it. This is good because now David reviewed one video and concluded, no, I'm not going to take this seriously anymore. I'm not going to respond to it anymore because it's very bad. This was a perfect move. This was 4D chess by rationality rules. First, he fooled David by making that video and baiting him into making such a response so that he will disregard anything else. And now rationality rules can freely and thoroughly drill and go after David forever without David ever feeling the strength to respond. So this is going to be amazing, and we will see how rationality rules will totally debunk and destroy David. See, this is a brilliant strategy. It was the perfect move. Press X to pay respect. I don't have a controller here, unfortunately. Actually, I do, somewhere over there. Yep. Yes. Hey, what's up, Pondering Jew? I love how you made David angry the other day by just asking a question. You've talked about how the closest thing to something supernatural you've seen is the unreasonable anti-Semitism in the world. As a Jew, this fascinates me, as a core belief is that Jewish people are a sign of God's existence. Of course, from your perspective, that could be an interesting sign. Could be quite an interesting sign. Oh yeah, if I don't have a controller, I can just press F. I realize. Okay, I just pressed F to pay respect. You've seen is the unreasonable anti-Semitism from your perspective, from a Jewish perspective, that might sound reasonable, and honestly, it is still mind-boggling to me because I can just, from a regular, non-religious, secular perspective, say, hey, I went to Israel. I saw how people are in Israel. I was amazed with how good things were and with how kind everyone was. And it is incredible to see that Jews are so badly maligned and slandered around the world by all kinds of different people. Certainly not based on how Jews are, but based on different things. And then it's, of course, the question is, how can we explain this? And there are, of course, different explanations that can be given. With Islam, the explanation would be that Islam just has a terrible history with Jews, starting with Mohammed. Mohammed was a sick man, and Mohammed had a bad experience with Jews who he went to them and he went, hey Jews, hey Christians, I'm just like you. I also believe in one God, and it's in fact that God he sent me. How about let's be friends? You accept me as another prophet? And the Jews said, nope. And the Jews didn't cuddle with him, so he got really angry at Jews. And those were his first non-polytheistic enemies. And he really took that personally, really took it seriously. He was a sick man. And we have been dealing with the consequences of that ever since, just because the Jews refused to cuddle with Muhammad when he kindly asked them. When he just asked them for a little bit of love, they said, "Nope, not giving that to you." And now we have to deal with all the Jew hate. Muhammad was sick.
You're sick. You are sick.
Yes. Yes. Wait and steal for Aiden before starting. In the meantime, yesterday somebody brought up that Destiny had a conversation with Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes and all the sick people united in one room. I wasn't aware of it. I checked it out later. Apparently, there was a space hosted, to which I actually got an invitation, by the way. So I could have gone there as a speaker as well, but I wasn't even aware because I started just disregarding those invitations. Maybe I should look better next time. But I got an invitation from Mario Naufal, who is the host of the space, and I just didn't look at it. So there was a spaces where Destiny joined, and there were Mario Naufal, Sulaiman Ahmed, Andrew Tate, the Krasenstein brothers, Nico, Keith Woods, Nick Fuentes, Tristan Tate, Myron, everybody, all the mentally ill people, excluding Destiny, were all together united in one room. And Destiny just went in there and started and talked to them. And I listened to a few bits of it, and it is a massacre. He just single-handedly is destroying these people. It is very, very interesting. It's a whole thing we could review. I know. I should have gone. I know. Yeah. Okay. Blame me, everybody. Blame me. Say L. AP, you should have gone. Online Asylum says Hunting Shark. Wait a minute. Why can I not highlight my own chats now? This is weird. Something went wrong with the system. Huh. What has happened? Okay, now it works. That's weird. Go 316. Salvation is free, but there is an incentive. Alhamdulillah. Revenge of the Nerds. Nick Fajitas. Yes, AP, you should have gone. Unimportant people. How dare you call these people unimportant? Don't you know that one of them is the most schooled man on the planet, possibly in the universe, and the others are all. Oh, there's Visegrad. Visegrad is good. Visegrad is our guys. Our guys. For those who haven't seen it, you should really go and watch the interview that Visegrad did with me and with David. It was fantastic. Hey, okay, here you are.
Hey,
how you doing?
I'm fine. Sorry for being late.
No problem. I know you had stuff to do. It's okay.
Yeah.
And you were here before I was here, and I am the host. So I saw that you were here already. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm glad to finally be able to show up here.
Yeah, very, very nice. I'm glad to have you here. How do you want me to how do you say your name? I think you say Adin, right?
Yeah, Adin. Yeah.
Adin, okay.
Yeah,
So
many people mistakenly say Aiden or something.
okay. If I say Aiden, will you hate me, or do you expect me to say Adin? Will you sue me or something?
I mean, however, I don't mind it, to be honest.
Okay.
And
I
how
will
you
be careful.
say Rivdan? How exactly you say your name?
It's Ridvan, but you can just say AP. Everyone says AP because it's easier. Yes. Apostate Union said Aiden Ross. It's
Yeah.
This Aiden is
No connection, no relation.
Is 10 times above the other Aiden in terms of thinking skills. So this is better. Believe me, it's better. Better. Aiden is probably much more entertaining than both of us combined, but also much less intelligent. So there's always, whatever you prefer, that's what you go for.
Yes, it's on a skill point.
Yeah. Aiden, I gave a link to your X account, to your Twitter account. So I linked it. But everyone who wants to follow
Appreciate
Aiden can find him there. I follow him.
Also on
I always like
Instagram,
your
if you're
tweets.
welcome. Also on Instagram, if you're welcome for some cheap memes.
I like the stuff that you post on Twitter. I think you have smart and good takes on things, and I like how you just dunk on these people sometimes when they
Yeah,
post
I don't think
nonsense.
sometimes I just really lost. Basically, I don't really want to give more effort to them.
Like stuff like this. I mean, it's just so obvious. This guy coming and saying that's not even the issue, Mr. Haykin. The issue is you thinking that something called Third Temple existed, while the archaeology, science, and historical evidence completely deny the myth. And you said, I agree with you that the Third Temple did not exist.
I mean, nothing to add.
we, we have such weird people arguing with us on social media. Anyway, do you know anything about this
I
debate? Did you
watched
have a look?
bits. I watched bits. Like I already recognize that fat fuck Sulaiman.
Uh-huh.
Like I personally, I like usually I just really did bother him, but since he spread the personal defamation against me personally, I really like.
Oh, wait a minute. He did that too, right?
Yeah,
Did he?
he deleted it immediately when the community notes start to show up, but all the damage already been done.
Oh, he posted a fake tweet that was generated,
It
photoshopped.
was made by Bedin Penada, you know that guy?
Oh yeah.
It started up when allegations come against him. So to you want to basically project it towards someone else, and I was the one of them. So it started to fake tweets about me, and it's just many people spread it out, and he was one of them. Suppose investigative journalist Sulaiman just spread it like, oh, another evidence for the IDF crimes.
Do you mind if I put that fake tweet on the screen because it's a terrible one, but
Yeah, I don't mind. Like,
just to show to people what we're talking about. Hold on, give me a second here.
I know Khalisa also spread it.
Oh yeah, she's terrible. She's a
Yeah.
terrible. Uh, I'm saying she. I don't even know. Maybe it's some
She's a she. I think she was exposed. She was even doxed once. Like she exposed
Oh
her
really?
face. Yeah.
I'm not sure. When I see profiles like that, I think maybe there's like a 60, 70-year-old guy behind that or something.
It was, she put a picture of white women, like it was guy from Game of Thrones, but she was exposed as brown Pakistani women, basically
Ah,
old Pakistani women.
yeah. So this is how
Yeah.
you became the most famous. This is a tweet that is made that was
Yeah.
done, that was fabricated, made to look like you tweeted this, which says, "When I was in the IDF, we raped, so of course I did it too." I mean, these people actually spread this stuff as if it was an actual genuine tweet. Who in the world actually talks like this about
Yeah.
himself? These people
Like,
can't even think a little bit further about. Wait a minute, this doesn't sound realistic.
like we don't like who talk like that. Like who I like. It's
Yeah.
like, and
And
also like like, and he tried to fake another one that I supposedly that I was going to write. Basically, he tried to create the before and after, but he mixed up the dates, so it's looked like I served in the army only like for 6 months, which doesn't make sense.
so this is what they rely on, and this is
Yeah.
something that we see with the Dawa, with Islamic apologists very often, and we see with people like Sulaiman Ahmed. Sulaiman Ahmed is supposed to be an investigative journalist, but
I
he
mean, I
took that
never
tweet.
saw him though. The only investigative journalism he ever did, if you want to call it like that, is doxing the victims of Andrew Tate.
Oh yeah, he did that. He did that. He was harassing and trying to dox the Andrew Tate's rape victims and
Yeah.
trafficking victims.
All the
This
rest of
this
the
is
time, it just steal content. It just steal and post steal content. It doesn't create its own original discoveries.
Did you ever think of suing these people for this
I try to
defamation?
look for advices. I just have no experience in. I don't have no legal experience in suing people who live abroad. So I try to
But
look to reach up for advices.
don't Jews control the world? You could just get in touch with the global forces that control the world, since you're Jewish, and then you could just get back at them.
Apparently, we have our own limits.
Well. What can you do? Anyway, you want to look at this?
Sure, yeah.
Let's go ahead. Let's continue.
Let's go.
Was October 7th a military operation or a terrorist attack? I'll take it to, I think you started last time, so Destiny, you could start on this one, and we'll do a fire round at the end of this one, and I'll let you take it.
Yeah, a military operation seeks to accomplish military goals. If you're doing an invasion and you are a military, there's probably some military goal you're trying to accomplish. Hamas very clearly had no military goal they were trying to accomplish. The goal was to incite terror in the citizens. That's why thousands of rockets were launched at the beginning of the invasion. That's why when they cut through and they started going into Israel proper, they hit up kibbutzes, some of which had nothing to do with the military. They went to that Nova festival and they killed, raped, and took hostages from tons of people there. These people didn't present any sort of actual militaristic threat or have any kind of militaristic gain. The entire idea was to take, some 200 plus hostages back, every single one of these being a violation, by the way, of the law of armed conflict. And no, that's not the same as Palestinians that are facing detention in Israeli prisons, even though that argument is often made. So no, every single part of the operation on October 7th was just designed to instill and incite fear in the Israeli population. There was no reasonable military operation or goal that Hamas was trying to accomplish, and that's why they accomplished none. And it led to, as we've seen now, the reprisal from Israel in response to this with a war.
Okay.
It's kind of funny how Destiny sounds totally bored, although he's like presenting all these facts, but he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, we've gone through this like, so many times.
Yeah.
But blah, 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 blah.
Just got tired of it. Like
Yeah. But so that part is completely accurate. What Hamas did was to just try and incite violence all over the land, to kill as many people as possible and to take hostages.
Yeah. And also hope that it might trigger the regional war, that maybe Hezbollah and other militants will get involved, that maybe Israeli Arabs will join in. And like it's also like you remember probably in 2021 operation, there was the riots of Israeli Arabs, and so they probably will influence a hope that it maybe get triggered again in much larger scale.
Oh yeah. They clearly didn't have a strategy or a goal to actually wage a war and to hit certain targets and all that. Even by their own admission, they say that they didn't know that there was a music festival going on. And this is funny because I don't really believe them. They probably knew it, but even if they didn't know it, so if they did or did not know it, in either case, what they did is just to land in the middle of a music festival and attack random civilians, kill over 300, nearly 400 of them, and take many of them, rape some, take others as hostages, and so on. None of this is a military operation. This is not part of a military practice. It's nothing like that at all. There is no strategic goal in that. And this is actually what is meant by proportionality in war. Proportionality would be that you target a military target, and you minimize civilian casualties as much as possible while reaching your military target. There was no military target at all when Hamas attacked that festival.
Yeah, and I know, but the argument he will try to make, basically their entire argument, how its military objective is, Israel, the IDF exists inside Israel, so attacking Israel, it's attacking the IDF, and basically it tried.
That's not how it works, though.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
All right, with another minute to spare, Sulaiman, let's turn to you.
Yeah, look.
By the way, everyone, chat, is the volume balanced? Mine, Adin's, the videos. I can't tell because the video is very loud, and I'm not sure. Let me know.
It's fine.
It was a military operation, right? You don't need to be a military to conduct a military operation. They're not allowed to have a military, right? So what the actual target was to go to the to do a military operation. The kibbutzes did hold military personnel, hence why that was their target. The Nova Festival was never meant to be there. It was extended by a day without anybody knowing it. They were meant to.
What?
Like he made, this is the argument. Like he basically made the argument it's okay to target supposed armed civilians, which there is no international law argue that. Like you can just target, a civilian, but just because they are native. Like I know he tried to basically make the mirror argument that Israel made against Hamas, that use civilians. But he just, he basically just tried to argue all Israeli basically every Israeli town is potential military targets.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have any explanation how it's a military operation. He just claimed if Hamas attacked the target, it's therefore a military operation.
This is so ridiculous. I mean, let me just show one thing here, which is so Kibbutz Kisufim is one place that I went with David when I was in Israel, and I have photos from there. Really, really bad stuff. We talked to people in there, to the wife of the guy who was in charge of defending this village. It is a civilian village. It is not a military target. There are weapons present for people to defend themselves. That's what it is. It is not a military position. And Hamas and Islamic Jihad and others, they come through Gaza here, and this is not very far. I mean, it is like 1 to 2 kilometers. They come here and attack this village directly, go from house to house, shoot civilians on site, take others captive, and so on. There is no military goal here at all. No such.
Remember, they also attacked the city of Ofakim and Sderot, which military objective there on those cities.
Yeah. Sderot is here. I was there. They attacked this city, executed people in the middle of the street, attacked a police station here. Actually, you could say, well, look,
which still attacking a police station, a civilian police station, is still not considered a military target.
Yeah. That is one thing that needs to be pointed out. They say, oh, they are police. They're police. Police is not civilian. Police is civilian. Police is not part of the military. So it is not a military target. If you attack the police, a police would be they are part of the civilian population. They're there to protect the civilians.
And you have to remember, in some context, even attacking a military personnel could consider terrorism. Like the most famous example is the Beirut bombing in Lebanon in '82. Mm-hmm. Like it was attacked against a peacekeeper force. Although there were soldiers, it's to consider terrorism because it wasn't a soldiers who took part in hostilities in armed conflict. There were soldiers who were peacekeepers.
Yeah. There is also, I mean, they clearly didn't care. We have videos of them executing soldiers who have no weapons, who are hiding, and who are basically asking or begging for their life.
If I remember correctly, out of the 300 soldiers who were killed on October 7, at least 40 of them were spotters, which have no combat, no military experience at all. Another dozens of them were killed when we were sleeping on bed. Mm-hmm. Basically, we just sleep on bed. They were not even with clothes on.
That's a war crime. If you are in the middle of a war and a soldier, military personnel, lays down his weapons and begs for his life and you shoot them, that's a war crime. If you see a soldier sleeping and kill them, it's a war crime, and so on. These are not military operations.
Yeah.
To go to the kibbutz, get the Israeli hostages, military personnel, and swap them for the Palestinian hostages that are kept in Israeli prisons. And they are...
Look what he said. He just said, get the hostages, military personnel. they are not military personnel, and taking
out of like
hostages, civilian
yeah,
hostages, is a war crime.
out of like the current 110, 120 assumed civilians that are assumed hostages that are right now in Gaza, it assumes only like 15 to 20 of them are soldiers.
Yeah, yeah. They took civilian hostages. This guy's actually sitting here and trying to justify the taking of hostages.
Hamas basically
taking is a
Hamas
war crime.
doesn't even Hamas argument is basically every child will get drafted to be a soldier, and then every elderly once was a soldier. This is the argument.
Yeah, good luck with that in international law, bro.
I mean, I actually saw official Hamas poster which they argue it was justified to execute a specifically elderly Israeli who was like 8 years old, because in the 50s he served in the Nahal, which is just, construction, military construction, basically. It's not even combatant role, it's just construction.
Yeah.
Like back in the 50s, like 70 years ago, basically.
Yeah.
Are the same, because in reality, many of them have not been held trial. They've basically been kept there and they've basically been abused. The only difference is when the state of Israel does it, it's called prisoners, and when basically Palestinian does it or Hamas does it, it's called hostages. That's the only difference.
How many people were held there?
They'll be being kept there, and they are the same, because in reality, many of them have not been held trial. They've basically been kept there and they've basically been abused. The only difference is when the state of Israel does it, it's called prisoners, and when basically Palestinian does it or Hamas does it, it's called hostages. That's the only difference. It's just a difference in language. Look.
So he's saying Hamas taking hostages is just like Israel jailing or imprisoning
usually
people.
The people who make the argument specifically refer to administrative detainees, basically. I mean, we can look up the most famous administrative detainee there was recently. Like, his name was Khadar Adnan. I think I say his name. Like, he was the most famous one and considered a big example of Israeli abuse because he died during a hunger strike and all that. Like, he was known to be an Islamic Jihad leader, Islamic Jihad cleric. He was caught on video. He called for suicide attacks against Israelis, and he was, according to him, it's comparable to Israeli hostages because he was in administrative detention. Like, it doesn't, like, administrative detention is not. It's not like hostage. Like, it's not in. It's you. Israel doesn't take Palestinians to administrative detention as a bargaining chip to gain something for the Palestinians.
Yeah.
They take it as a measure to prevent attacks, potential attacks. Basically, this is why even the Palestinians themselves, Palestinian sources themselves said that like 80% of the Palestinians in administrative detentions were already convicted terrorists. Like, people were already convicted for terrorism in the past and were just arrested again.
Yeah. Here is one of those hostages that Sulaiman Ahmed thinks can be taken and that this is justified. Here is one of those hostages. Kfir Bebas, he was less than a year old when he was taken hostage on October 7 by Hamas.
Now he lives most of his life in captivity.
Yeah. He has been in captivity. So Sulaiman Ahmed actually sits there and compares the taking of people into administrative detention, compares it to taking a baby like this captive, and justifies
you can
it.
Google
It's the same thing.
You can Google how it's named.
Look at what it says. Youngest Hamas hostage turns in captivity.
Khadar Adnan.
Khadar Adnan. Oh yeah. I know about that guy.
Yeah, I sent you his name.
Yeah, this guy.
He basically, this is the guy that he basically comparing to.
For leading a student demonstration against the through eggs, stones, hunger strike, 10 days, rearrested. He was placed in solitary confinement. PIJ members were killed in a shootout with Israeli troops. Adnan called on all Palestinian militant groups to resume fighting with Israel and accused the governing entity, the PNA, of collaborating with Israel. Who among you will carry the next explosive build? Who among you will fire the next bullets? Who among you will have his body parts blown all over? Oh, yeah, okay, yep, very innocent guy. It looks like very innocent guy, almost like
Just
little,
took him hostage, you know,
yeah,
for no reason, basically. For
yeah. So the guy who is here, who is part of militant terrorist organizations and says, "Who else is going to blow themselves up? Let's do this. Let's show them," is just like this little baby here, who just turned 1. That's what Sulaiman is basically implying here.
That is the biggest fake news ever. Like, this mass propaganda has been debunked. There's no
Wait. Okay.
basically Palestinian does it or Hamas does it. It's called hostages. That's the only difference. It's just a difference in language. Look, that is the biggest fake news ever. Like, this mass propaganda has been debunked. There's no evidence for this whatsoever. I would like Destiny to provide evidence of there have been an actual real evidence of rape, because this is just like fake news that's been debunked, just like the 40 beheaded babies that we debunked.
I can fake him tweets if you want, if you look for real evidence.
Man, this guy is such a standard for evidence. He says there is no rape. It's a hoax. It has been debunked. When it's convenient for them, they go to the UN. There was a UN envoy of independent experts and others going to Israel, to the Gaza envelope, talking to many witnesses and victims and so on, providing their assessments. They came out with a report.
Of course, but their argument
were,
that they use against it, they didn't investigate it themselves. They didn't, go investigate it, the bodies themselves and go to Gaza and to all that and dig for evidence.
But they're not supposed to investigate. They're supposed to see if there is a reasonable grounds that rape took place. And
the
the
same
UN
argument,
envoy,
you can cancel every argument that the UN made about the conflict.
Yes, exactly. So we have here the UN envoy goes there and they says reasonable grounds to believe conflict-related sexual violence occurred. Then they, I looked into this whole thing. I read the documents and I made a live stream about this. That they concluded that there is, in certain cases, it is certain that, for example, some of the captives, some of the hostages were sexually assaulted, and there is reasonable grounds to believe that some of the hostages being held are still undergoing sexual assault as they are being held in Gaza. And these are legal terms. What that means is not, we think it could be taking place. No, what it means is that there is very strong evidence, almost beyond reasonable doubt, that sexual violence took place, and that sexual violence is still ongoing by Palestinian terrorist groups against Israelis inside Gaza. But yeah, Sulaiman Ahmed said it's a hoax. There's no evidence. Show me where is evidence. So, man,
why talk like a cartoon? Like was animation, like I can explain what's kind of animation, but motion pictures animation, but
yeah, he sounds like one of those cartoon characters. He does sound like a weird thing. I don't know.
How the mouth moves.
Yeah.
like any baby being killed by Israel, we debunked. So all of this has been.
Oh my God. Do we really want to go? I really want to see what Destiny says in response to this stuff.
Debunked. They didn't plan to take 200 hostages. It's actually the opposite. They did not expect the Nova Festival to be there. They didn't expect it. And they didn't expect the Israelis to react in the manner that they reacted in terms of killing many of their own hostages and so many of their own people. And so for that reason, you had a scenario where they end up taking many more hostages than they expected. And that's why.
Let's say what kind of stupid logic is this? What kind of retarded logic? Let's say for a second that that Hamas was actually not aware that a music festival was taking place, right? Let's assume for a second that is true. So they had no idea. They landed there. They suddenly saw that there is a festival. Now, number one, they killed hundreds of people. Number two, they took hundreds of hostages just from there. How exactly does it happen that they don't plan to take hostages, but they take them anyway? Like, even if they were not aware of the festival, how does it happen? Is it like, oh, they take one and then they accidentally took 3-4 others? They weren't aware of that. Like they
They were on the vibe.
one with them, and then the others just came attached to that one. They didn't see that. It just
They followed the vibe.
What?
They followed the vibe.
It doesn't make any sense. What kind of stupid reasoning is this? What kind of ridiculous reasoning is this?
And yeah, like he probably going to make that argument. He keep making the argument, but I looked up. There was public information for like at least a week from before the massacre that the party is going to happen there on October 7th. So it wasn't like a surprise information. Like it was kind of like debunk that conspiracy that it was extended at the last moment. There's actual documents that it was at least known for at least a week from before the party going to happen.
Yeah. To be fair, Hamas are completely lowly, backward, imbecile savages. So maybe they just didn't realize it. Maybe that's a good point. I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of like the argument like I heard from the beginning of the invasion to Ukraine, the Russian invasion to Ukraine, that many of the Russian soldiers claim that they didn't know about the invasion. They just follow orders. They thought it's just a drill or something.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Who still buys this nonsense? Here you have it actually from them. When it's funny because when terrorists are captured and under torture in Russia admit to certain things, Sulaiman Ahmed and others take that as evidence. Here we have Hamas members. Here we have Hamas members and Islamic Jihad members sitting here comfortably talking about what they were doing, and we're not supposed to believe this because they were.
I don't see, I don't see electricity cable connect to the balls. So
This guy looks like he has diarrhea or something. I don't know, but that's the worst thing.
بيوم او يومين زي
ومدنيين في ذيك
هو التعميمات في بخصوص المدنيين كانت اللي هو يعني قتل الرجال الأسر اللي هو النساء والمسنين والأطفال.
So what did Sulaiman Ahmed just say? There was no such goal about civilians. He didn't plan on taking civilians. This guy just said our goal regarding civilians was to kill the men and take the elderly, the women, and the children as hostages. That's what this guy says.
Oh, it's all torture, basically. The Nuremberg trial argument. Oh, they were all under torture.
هذا اللي كان يحكي لنا محمد نهض البطش مسؤول المجموعة.
شو قالكم؟
قالنا احنا مهمتنا كفار عزة، بدنا نقتل، بدنا نقدر نخطف زي كده يعني.
This guy just said explicitly that his commander told them to attack the kibbutz, the civilian community, and to kill and take captive what they can. That's it. And they go and they do exactly that. They randomly, we have it all on video. They randomly shoot people on sight and they take others hostage. That's what they did. We have it all on video. It's undeniable.
I mean, it's the entire concept of like Palestinian militant operation basically was how it was defined by George Habash, the founder of the Popular Front for Liberation of Palestine, which is supposed to be the secular moderate of among them. Basically, how he defined it, it is more effective to kill one Jew further from the battlefield, but live far from the battlefield, than to kill hundreds of them in battle. So the entire concept is basically to not attack combatant, to attack the civilians. It's the entire point. Like, if you're going to, because we basically learn from the all Israeli wars, it doesn't really help. You don't really achieve anything when you kill Israeli soldiers in battle. Like, because this is what they're supposed to do. Like, this is their job of the soldiers. You don't really, like, this is like Israelis basically was used to it during all those wars. The entire point of terrorism was to flip the entire equation, to basically to target the civilians, to break the society, basically.
Yeah.
المرأة لما شفتها يعني شو شفت عليها؟
شفتها أنا مرمية بس ما قربتش منها يعني طلع الكلب تبعها بالشارع طخيته أنا بعدها كان في واحد بالجنينة.
المدني هذا اللي كتبته كان معه سلاح؟
لا.
لا. كم طلقة ضربت عليه؟
من 2 ل3.
فوين؟
Anyway, so we have here a bunch of evidence. This guy taking selfies and killing people, random civilians that they see, and so on. We have other videos of some guy admitting to that they were actually raping dead bodies and so on, kill people and babies. But hey, just believe Sulaiman Ahmed. Big Svetan said, Apostate Akbar, here's my jizya to you. Great one. Thank you so much. You will be spared. I will not kill you. Kathy said, today is the Israeli Holocaust Remembrance Day. Yeah. Isn't that, wait a minute.
Yeah. It's
Isn't that
today.
yesterday to today, or is it today to tomorrow? Is it?
Yesterday to today. Basically, yesterday
okay.
it was the evening. Today morning it was the siren, the famous siren. And
okay. Yeah, that's right. Wow, I got it wrong. Okay. All right. Mike Roch says October 7 is like June 4 never happened. June 4, 1989. I don't even get the reference here. June 4th, 1989. I'm out of touch with the culture. I don't get it. I'm sorry, Mike Roch.
I don't get it too.
Mr. Bukhari said Jews have every reason to lash out, but they don't. Well, they are right now, kind of, and they should. Christian Sanchez said, Buenos hermanos, Dios los bendiga. Yes, and yeah, totally. Sheikh Yadik says, I wasn't a Muslim before listening to Suleiman's conspiracy, Dawa, but after listening, I'm throwing myself from a moving vehicle to free Palestine.
This is there are actually people who believe that Israel is growing, it's planting so many trees across its country, like they have a GNF that planting trees because they fear that prophecy is going to come, so they create a lot of
wait, June 4 is the Tiananmen Square massacre. Oh yes. Okay, now I get it. Now I get it. What he's saying,
the 20 massacre, yeah.
What he's saying, October 7th did not happen, just like Tiananmen Square did not happen. Okay, now I get it. Thank you.
It didn't happen and they deserved it.
Man, now I get it. That's basically the same thing, same propaganda.
I usually, I even made a meme about it. Like, if you're going to justify October 7 because the Palestinians are indigenous, oppressed people, they were humiliated, war crimes and all that, why are you complaining about the Sabra and Shatila massacre? What the Palestinians what they were doing in Lebanon against the native people there.
They're native to everywhere. They're native to the whole world, so they can do whatever they want.
The Lebanese people, the indigenous Lebanese people, had the right to resist to foreigners by any means necessary. And if they saw fit to go into the Palestinians' camps to deal with them the way they want to deal, according to Soleimani, I don't make the rule. This was the right.
Yeah. That's what they say. That's what they do.
Even Israeli literature says that they've been trying to get rid of some of them hostages because they never expected to have such a multitude of hostages. And remember, all of our arguments are...
What? Israeli literature?
What do you mean Israeli literature?
And they expected, and that's why even Israel of killing many of their own hostages, and so many of their own people. And so for that reason, you had a scenario where they end up taking many more hostages than they expected. And that's why even Israeli literature says that they've been trying to get rid of some of them hostages because they never expected to have such a multitude of hostages. And remember, all of our arguments are based on Israeli.
What in the hell does it even mean? Why?
So I don't know this argument. Like, Hamas didn't plan to take many hostages, but it was surprised he got so many hostages, so we got rid of many hostages. Like,
how is anybody taking this guy seriously, man? This is literally the dumbest the dumbest sounding defender of Hamas and critic of Israel that I have heard over the last months since October 7. There are, of course, very dumb anonymous ones on Twitter, except for those. This guy is just the worst. What the hell does this even mean? None of this makes any sense. They weren't planning on taking that many hostages, but they encountered so many people, so they just took them as hostages. Okay, so instead of saying, okay, we took enough, let's go, they were like, oh, well, there are too many of them. We have to take them now.
Let's be honest. If Hamas really just wanted to make October 7 just a military show-off, to just do a military show-off, it would be kind of easy for him. It could just fire some rockets toward military outposts, raid them, kill a few, and take some soldiers from those military posts, and just go back. It could take like hour or two, the entire operation. Like maybe we could only kill like a few dozens of soldiers, not 1,200 Israelis, but it could definitely be perceived as a military operation. It's not secret, it's not like Hamas military bases. We know where all the Israeli military outposts around Gaza are. Like you can see them on Google Maps. We could just raid those posts and only those posts. It will still be suck for us if we do it, but we could definitely tell it was just a military operation,
They also made they made announcements when they started the October 7 terrorist attack, which they call Al-Aqsa flood, that this will be the beginning of the end of the Zionist entity and all that. Does that sound like they were just trying to take a few hostages and that's it? No.
Yeah, it's the one the reason why we believe it's going to be the end is because the founder of Hamas, Ahmed Yassin, basically got a prophecy. But basically, up between 1948 to 1988, the year that Hamas was founded, it was the 40 years of humiliation. Basically, it was the humiliation period, what Israel humiliated the Muslims, and and the next 40 years, from 1988 to 2028, will be the 40 years of basically struggle, of resistance, of heroism. But at the end, the Muslim nation will triumph and defeat the Zionists, the Jews, basically.
Yeah.
And the reason why we believe that 40 and 40 years, which add up to 80 years, why we believe that Israel will only be able to hold up only for 80 years, is because they look back at Jewish history and they believe that, the ancient kingdom of David only lasted for 80 years, the Hashmonite kingdom only lasted for 80 years. They believe, so that Jewish rule must only lasted for 80 years.
Yeah, great logic. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it works. Yeah. Wait a minute. I'm looking at the documentation here. They also issued documents and instructions to their soldiers to go and attack civilian buildings and kill as many as possible. Anyway, let's continue. Let's see.
News. So really, the arguments are much stronger because this is even by their own news, they're making these arguments. One thing I appreciate what Destiny said is that they wanted to go after the Israelis, the state of Israel. And he's very much accurate in that because he didn't say Jews, because in reality, it was an attack on the state as opposed to
because they also attacked Druze and Arabs.
Jewish.
Yeah.
They also killed Druze and Israeli Bedouins and Arabs, so
people.
Okay, turn to you. And again, the topic is, was October 7th a military operation or a terrorist attack?
Yeah, so the idea that the Nova Festival was moved today, this is a multi-day festival. I mean, you could look at all the flyers beforehand. It's not like this was just one day. And also the idea that it was moved and nobody knew. If that was the case, then how did the party people know to go to the festival? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, and also when you're paragliding in and you see a bunch of people partying, I mean, like, what are you thinking? Like, are you radioing back to base? Like, Mohammed, I don't know what to do. There's a bunch of party goers here. Oh, I guess we just have to kill them all. I didn't know they'd be there. Like, take as many hostages as possible. Like, mow down as many mother you see. Like, we have videos we say it all comes from the IDF. That's not.
You see how Sulaiman is very amused by this. He finds it very funny.
Just possible, like mow down as many mother you see. Like, we have videos.
He finds it very funny. It's hilarious to him. Very, very funny. Very funny. That's what you like, right? That's what you like, Sulaiman. That's what you like. You love to hear that.
Someone who claimed that Sulaiman looked like Banky Buns from Arthur.
I want to show you what, according to Hamas speaker, and I showed this video so many times, but I just can't stop showing it because it's just so beautiful. What this guy said Hamas's goal was here. Notice this is 2018. Fatih Hamad, he's in charge of Al-Aqsa TV, the main propaganda channel of Gaza.
The right of the return march.
This was during that the right of return march.
لنتطلع إلى أمرين مهمين نحن قاب قوسين أو أدنى منهما. أولا هو تنظيف فلسطين من دنس اليهود واستئصالهم بإذن الله، وهو قاب قوسين أو أدنى. 4 سنوات إخواننا 2022 بنكون خلصنا منهم.
So he made a little bit of a miscalculation, but according to his own words here, by 2022, we will have cleansed Palestine of the filth of the Jews. And yes, he says Jews. He does not say Zionists or Israelis. He says Jews. If you want to verify it, you can hear it right here.
تنظيف فلسطين من دنس اليهود
Yehudi. Yehudi. Have you heard that? Yehudi.
4 سنوات إخواننا 2022 بنكون خلصنا منهم. أما الأمر الثاني وهو إقامة الخلافة بعد أن تتعافى الأمة من سرطانها وهو اليهود بإذن الله.
So
it's
the
very
second goal,
interesting, like
building
in
a
the Hamas
caliphate
chart.
after the Jews are destroyed. That's it.
I mean, it's very interesting. Even in the Hamas charter, you will never see once throughout the entire Hamas charter what we call for establishing a Palestinian state. No, it's nowhere the words a Palestinian state even appear there. It's the concept of states. It's considered itself be a Zionist, basically.
Yeah. The charter of 1988, which is still in power. They issued another one in 2017, which does not replace the first one. It's just supposed to be somehow of a clarification to make their image in the world a little bit better. But their goal has been all along to destroy and kill the Jews, get rid of all of them, and then establish the caliphate in this land, and not allow the Jews to live, and follow the promise to one day kill all the Jews. Speaking of killing all the Jews, Adin, are you planting gargot trees? Are you planting gargot trees everywhere in Israel? Do you have gargot trees in your backyard?
Yeah, every Tu B'Shvat.
Oh man.
We say it all comes from the IDF. That's not true. These dumb motherfuckers were recording videos of themselves. You have videos of people walking up and down porta potties, shooting in with their assault rifle. But maybe they think that there are secret IDF soldiers hiding in those. I don't know. Maybe they operate from porta potties in Hamas so much that they think the IDF does it as well. The idea, the 40 beheaded baby thing wasn't true. Israel never said it. This was a misreport by the media. If you try to trace down where that original claim came from, it originated from Twitter. It did not come from any Israeli reported source. Again,
Sulaiman is shaking his head. I actually broke it down. Okay. I actually broke it down in the past. I also showed it to Daniel Kikichu when he brought up the very same thing, because that's the only thing they can do is like, oh, what about the 40 beheaded babies? Like that's out of everything, that is the only thing that they go for, to bring an example of supposedly Israel lying or Israelis lying. And I broke it down. Let me quickly pull this up. 40 beheaded babies. I wrote a little, I made a little post about that just to show how it actually developed. Let's see. Where's that? Where's that? Here. And this is a very, very brief one. I always thought I should turn this into a little clip, but then I thought I shouldn't entertain this idea. But since it's so popular, I might as well just do that. Short explanation on the 40 beheaded baby story. IDF never claimed 40 babies were beheaded. Never. Israeli officials never claimed 40 babies were beheaded. The Zaka Rescue Organization never claimed 40 babies were beheaded. The first mention came from an I-24 news reporter who said she was told by a commander that 40 babies were found dead. Some had their heads cut off. The Israel X account quoted a news report from the same reporter on 40 dead babies. An interview with a deputy commander was published where he said that Hamas cut off heads of children and women. not babies, not even 40 babies, just children and women. Later, the same reporter tweeted that 40 babies / children were killed according to soldiers on the ground. This contradicts her earlier statement. She probably got this all wrong and or twisted it, but not even the reporter mentioned 40 beheaded babies. Zaka's senior official confirmed seeing beheaded children and babies. Netanyahu's office published photos from Zaka of dead and burned babies, which we, by the way, have. Somewhere along the way, the claim that Israel propagated 40 beheaded babies spread across social media, but nobody ever made such a claim to begin with. We know babies were killed, and we have photos of babies and children burned. We know that civilians were killed in brutal ways. This is it. Nobody ever, no serious official source ever said 40 babies were beheaded. This is a straw man, a distraction, which they use all the time to accuse Israel of lying.
Yeah. Basically, it's become the boogeyman of basically to undermine every Israeli claim.
Yeah. Instead of responding to actual evidence, to actual things that are happening that we can all see, they go to this lie, which is so ironic. They lie and they fabricate a lie to then accuse Israel of lying. Man.
Everybody can go look for it. You can go find it. That original source is not an Israeli source. We can say the mass rape propaganda, but I mean, we've got tons of eyewitness reports of hearing rapes happening and witnessing rapes happening. Now we've had people that were hostages that have come out who have said that they were sexually assaulted, and they know that other hostages were being sexually assaulted. And we've got a lot of charred bodies and a lot of dead people whose underwear were torn off, bodies where there was blood coming out of the vagina, bodies where the genitalia were shot over and over again. But the problem is that when you've got an invading, terrorist organization that is raping you, they also tend to kill you as well. It's pretty hard to get away from that. It's really funny when people say, like, oh, like, where are all of the rape survivors? Well, believe it or not, when an invading military force is raping you, they're probably going to kill you too. And that's why over 100 of the bodies that were found were charred beyond all recognition, but still kind of hard to explain why the legs were open and why the clothes were torn off the bottom halves of these bodies.
We have the pictures, and I showed them before. I don't want to show them now again because this is going to get the stream probably censored and age restricted and shut down.
There was many reports during the second Intifada when the Palestinian militant group used Christian towns to shoot at Jewish towns, and when the Christians complained about it, so the Palestinians militant just raped the women. It was reported during the second Intifada. Like it was made mainly by the Tanzim group and militants who close to Arafat. Basically, this is how they terrorize the Christian population. Also, it was reported during the Palestinian occupation of Lebanon, and also they always made that they try to argue that it's such a new phenomenon that Israel just made up to,
Yeah. We have all seen the pictures, and those asking for evidence can see them. I mentioned it before. There are certain websites you can go on Hamas massacre hamasmassacre.net. There is 10/7th.com. There is HamasIsIsis.co. and so on. There are multiple websites now that have put out all of the evidence. If you want to go and see the brutalities for yourself, go on Telegram and search for the channels The Slaughter or October 7th, The Slaughter. Then there are different channels like Hamas Massacre is also a Telegram channel. They post everything. Hamas Atrocities is another Telegram channel. And so on. All the evidence is right out there for everyone to see. And I have seen more stuff that I myself have not saved because I never really had the file. I seen it when I went to Israel. It is and this is the thing. If somebody comes and really tries to deny that these atrocities happened, I'm sorry, but I just lose all patience and think, you know what? Don't complain. Don't complain about people dying in response to what happened on October 7th, if you are going to deny the sickness that is in front of our eyes that we can all see, that I have seen, that so many others have seen, if don't deny the sickness that Israelis have witnessed, that Israel has witnessed, and then cry about civilian deaths in the war.
Yeah, we can say that arguments are made all from the Israeli news, but I mean, whose fault is that? I mean, Hamas isn't open about anything. You know, when we go through and we try to audit Israel on some of these, massacres in the past or some of the bad actions they've done, we can only do that because Israel is a democracy and we have the ability to actually audit them. That's why Israel hosts its own criticism in the form of Bet Salem or in the form of Haaretz. What is the Hamas equivalent to Bet Salem? What is the Hamas equivalent to Haaretz? They don't host any of their own criticism. They throw people off buildings and they kill people who think that they're in opposition to the government there.
Well said. Well said. And what does Israel also do if they see misconduct or mistreatment from their own personnel? They actually put them on trial.
It's easy to look who is relatively the most honest side of the conflict if you just look up whose side systemically kill traitors of their own group.
Hamas.
I mean, all the way back to the Great Arab Revolt 100 years ago, they killed more of their own people for suspicious for being collaborators with the enemy than sometimes than the enemy itself.
Well, you know what's so funny? There was a video from a while ago, from many years ago, where these two Israeli personnel are in the back of a Palestinian journalist and are basically joking around, goofing around, and that went around the world. Like Israeli soldiers are harassing a reporter during live report. The very funny thing about that is that. Oh yeah, here it is. Here it is. Here.
سياسة العقاب الجماعي عنصرية تنتهجها حكومة تل أبيب العنصرية.
And yes, she's by the way suppressing her laughter.
بهدف تضييق أكثر وأكثر على المواطنين. صار العادة تلفزيون فلسطين.
You know what happened to these soldiers? They were reprimanded and disciplinary action was taken against them by the Israeli army for this. So this is what Israel does. Israel, for something as small as this, they take disciplinary action against them. Any incident that occurs, they take disciplinary action. This is what actually happens in a country that takes responsibility. Unlike Hamas, which denies responsibility and kills all those who go against them.
I mean, yeah. If it was Hamas who was doing it to reporter, they would probably claim that the reporter fall in love with them or something.
Yeah. They would rape the reporter and say, "Oh, yeah, they loved it."
2 minutes. Okay. All right. I'll turn it over to Sulaiman.
So in terms of Nova Festival, you misunderstood what I said. I didn't say it was moved. I said it was extended, and I provided significant evidence on my Twitter page that it was extended. It was meant to be 1 day, and then it ended up being increased to 2 and then 3 days. So
that's
really what you said? Is that what you said?
That's a lie. Like Nova Festival was always a multiple-day festival. Like it's not the first time. It's not the first time it happened. It was known for at least a week that it will still last up to October 7th.
I mean, it's very usual for festivals to be lasting for multiple days.
Especially the Nova Festival.
Yeah. But let's see.
Being abused. The only difference is when the state of Israel is fake news ever, like this mass propaganda has been debunked. There's no evidence for this whatsoever.
I just want to go back and see what he actually said about that.
This is just like fake news that's been debunked, just like the 40 beheaded babies that we debunked, just like any baby being killed by Israel, we debunked. So all of this has been debunked. They didn't plan to take 200 hostages. It's actually the opposite. They did not expect the Nova Festival to be there. They didn't expect it. And they didn't expect the Israelis to react in the manner that they reacted in terms of killing many of their own hostages, and so many of their own people. And so for that reason, you had a scenario where they end up taking many more hostages than they expected. And that's why even Israeli literature says that they've been trying to get rid of some of them hostages because they never expected to have such a multitude of hostages. And remember, all of our arguments are based on Israeli news. So really, the arguments are much stronger because this is even by their own news, they're making these arguments.
And it led to, as we've seen now.
There he didn't say anything about it. Let's see what he says at the beginning. Did I skip something?
With another minute?
You don't need to be a military to conduct a military operation. They're not allowed to have a military, right? So what their actual target was to go to the to do a military operation. The kibbutzes did hold military personnel, hence why that was their target. The Nova festival was never meant to be there. It was extended by a day without anybody knowing it. They were meant to go to the kibbutz, get the Israeli hostages, military.
Okay. So there that's correct. He said I said extended. That's true. Okay, he did say it was extended by 1 day. However, is there any evidence that it was actually extended?
I know, but I saw a poster from the Nova Festival makers, the guys who made basically announcement of a festival. And they already gave a date that say that up to October 7th, the party will go. Like they published it a week before.
Jewish Days was built, had 3 stages, attendees. The location was changed. That's all there is. With 2 days in advance. That's all there is. And everyone, all the party goers were aware of it, but Hamas was not aware of that. Okay, good. All right. Fantastic. I believe you, Sulaiman.
I mean, what exactly does it even change? Like, it just
nothing at all.
It just means that Hamas is so incompetent and can't control itself when some slight change of plan, like.
Yeah, well, one of the first announcements that they made when they were confronted by reporters, I think there was a Saudi Arabian journalist who confronted one of the Hamas leaders. I think it was what's his name? That idiot that Ghazi Hamad, I think. I don't know, but he said we didn't plan on killing civilians or on attacking the festival. It is that after our Hamas personnel broke through, others that came afterward went around and did that. He lied there.
He tried to blame the Palestinian civilians.
Yes. He basically went there and blamed the Palestinian civilians and other organizations for the massacre, and said, "No, it wasn't us. It wasn't Hamas. It was actually our civilians actually did that." Okay, good. Now they're getting it. Now they're getting their reward for what they did.
Been increased to 2 and then 3 days. So that's what I said. So no, they weren't expected, not because it was moved, but because it was extended. In terms of 40 beheaded babies, I've done a thread on this. What you're saying is fake news. It was reported by a journalist. It was also reported by I-24 News, which is run by a very good friend of Netanyahu. That's where some of this...
I just broke it down. They never reported on 40 beheaded babies. Never happened. Never happened.
Reported, maybe they reported 40 babies and children dying.
Yeah. Nobody ever actually said 40 This guy also claimed that Biden said 40 beheaded babies. Biden never said that.
Yeah, he also said 40 children dying, which is true. Like, we have their names and pictures of those children.
Yeah.
Fake news about 40 beheaded babies was propagated. And by the way, there was 0 babies killed. The only people killing babies is the Zionist terrorist regime. So when you mention terrorists, I think you're talking about the Zionist regime. When you said that...
Were there 0 babies killed?
No, I remember. I forgot the name of a baby, but yeah, there were several babies that were killed.
We actually have... Let me go back to the names of those killed and the strikes. Come on. I was subscribed to Haaretz at some point. I unsubscribed because I didn't want to pay them anymore. But who else was keeping their names? Let's see. We'll get back.
Mila Cohen, yeah, the baby Mila Cohen, only 10 months years old, only 10 months. She was murdered in her crib in Beirut.
Yeah, and not all the names are public as of yet.
Some of them the family want to keep private. I mean, she was killed in a crib, so he can claim, oh, it was the Israeli Apache helicopter shooting it was in her home, in her crib.
Or maybe it was actually a 50-year-old man sleeping in the crib, and they thought it was a soldier. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, hostages
she was going to get drafted in just about 18 years.
Yeah. See?
were assaulted. There's no evidence of that. Many of the eyewitness testimonies have been exposed. For example, Riz Cohen, he literally said, "Oh, I heard it," and then later on he changed his testimony to say, "Oh, I saw it." There was another guy who said that he saw 29 people being raped, and then again it got exposed as being a lie. So many of these eyewitness testimonies are by settlers or basically Israeli liars who want to perpetuate the lies. Look, they had GoPro cameras. They want you to believe that they had GoPro cameras and they malfunctioned, then nobody saw anything. So whenever these
No, nobody said that. Sulaiman, are you? Look at this.
Use the word settler. I mean, at the moment, use the word settler just means we shouldn't trust any Israeli because all Israelis are settlers.
So first off, anything that he says doubting the authenticity of the witnesses who saw rape or who were raped can be completely disregarded. As said, it is the UN envoy which actually took independent, I think a team of 9 people, independent people, including experts on mental health and sexual assault and so on, who went there and talked to all the people in question, to Israeli authorities, to civilians, to civil organizations, humanitarian organizations, to witnesses and so on, and concluded, yes, sexual assault took place on a large scale. Here, Sulaiman is sitting there saying, no evidence, absolute debunked, everything wrong. No, this is all completely, entirely invalid. However, he's also saying, oh, they had GoPros, but they all malfunctioned. That's not what is being claimed. I know Muslim culture. I know one thing about Muslim culture, and this guy knows too, and probably everyone else knows too. Hamas will proudly, especially Islamic Jihad and others, will proudly film themselves torturing and killing Jews. They will not film themselves raping Jews because they will not film themselves having sex or sexually harassing somebody or sexually touching or sexually violating somebody in any way. It's quite simple. No Islamic jihadist would actually proudly film themselves raping somebody and then publicize this to their fellow Muslims. Not because they think it's good, but because they will not put it on camera.
I know one of the son of Hezbollah officials film himself raping a Syrian child.
Oh, yeah. And as said, we have many pieces of evidence, including bodies with very clear signs of rape. We have them referring to girls as concubines on camera, and so on. It's very stupid and very vile of these people to say, I don't believe it unless you can show me GoPro footage of them actually raping.
I mean,
somebody.
it's kind of like remind me. Even I remember in pre-state Palestine, like even during the mandate period, it was there were quite few stories of Muslim men kidnapping Jewish girls, like even up to the 48 war. Like there was even incident that the Jewish forces liberated basically conquered an Arab village and found several Jewish girls there. Even in the 1967 war, there's a famous story in which after they captured Jerusalem, the old city, suddenly they heard about women who getting birth, who is pregnant when about to get birth. So they send in like it was in an Arab home. They send in the IDF doctor there, and it turned out that Arab woman was apparently a Jewish girl who was kidnapped a few decades ago.
Yeah. Anyway, Yeah, let's see.
Atrocities occurred. For some reason, the GoPro cameras stopped working. It's the most ridiculous argument ever, but they want you to believe that. In terms of like people being charred, people were charred. We saw.
I never even heard anyone make that argument.
It got charred by Israelis when they were using Apache helicopters. As an example, 200 Palestinians were killed, or as they say, Hamas people or the resistance were killed, and they basically counted them as Israeli numbers, and then later they found out, no, they weren't Israeli, they were Palestinian. So that's how they were killed. They were killed their own people as well as they killed them. And this is the problem.
Okay, so let's say for a second that there is a possibility that bodies were actually charred, like burned, by Israeli Apache helicopters. Let's say that there is a possibility of that. So let's approach this from a just completely logical perspective, right? Without any bias inserted here at this point. We have a terrorist attack, a violent attack that comes from Hamas and Islamic Jihad and other groups and civilians from the Gaza on October 7 into Israel. You have endless evidence of them attacking and killing civilians using RPGs, which are very incendiary, using bombs, using grenades, using guns, and all kinds of different means.
You need to add to the fact that Hamas have a history of committing suicidal attacks.
Yeah, that too. And then and then you have a bunch of dead bodies everywhere throughout the Gaza envelope inside Israel, many of them burned. And you have reports of, at some point, IDF helicopters coming in and fighting these terrorists and firing. Mm-hmm. Now, here at this point, we have these burned bodies. And the first thing that Sulaiman does when we are told that that Hamas actually burned people is say, no. We know for a fact that it was actually the IDF. They burned people. They burned people with the helicopter. This is ill-willed. This is completely dishonest, completely illogical. In an attack where the IDF goes out eventually to defend its people against these invaders who kill and violate civilians left and right, this guy comes to the firm conclusion, without even any supporting evidence, that it was actually the IDF that is responsible for all those burnt bodies that you find throughout Israel. This is not logical at all, no matter how you approach it.
And what ammunition does Apache helicopter have to start a fire across it? It does like.
If an Apache helicopter fired at these people, they wouldn't just burn up and just lay there. They would be flying all over the place, limbs cut off, limbs shot off, and so on. It would be a much bigger massacre. The Apache helicopters did come in and they did take drastic actions against certain targets. In certain kibbutzim, they did, for example, after it was thought that it is most likely that only terrorists are present at this point, they did fire at them.
And there is the famous, Be'eri house.
Mm-hmm.
What 14 hostages were.
Mm-hmm.
It was concluded, like what I read from the recent investigation on the subject, that the 14 hostages were already executed by firearm by Hamas before the tanks opened fire, and the tank shell hit the roof of the house, not the hostages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there is no possibility. So basically, we cancel out the possibility that they were killed by Israeli fire.
And of course, it was also so Destiny gives an example, and I showed that before, and you can easily find it if you look for it. I don't want to put it on the screen of of several instances, but one especially of a woman who is found on the day of the incident, burnt up with her underwear, and her below her her waist is everything missing, has been wrapped up, opened up, and she's burnt up dead with her genital area severely harmed. This guy's Sulaiman's conclusion is, well, yeah, it happened because IDF came in and fired with Apache helicopter. How exactly did that happen? Did the Apache helicopters come in and take off her clothes somehow and then burn her up?
The Israelis killed many of their own people because they lost their minds when they came there. This is the problem that they don't want to speak about. So that's the thing about the time.
Evidence zero, especially for the Nova Music Festival. Evidence zero. There is no single evidence. Thousands of people escaped from the Nova Music Festival. Not a single person said that helicopters came in and started shooting at us.
And in terms of Israelis, you can't trust anything. They lie and lie and lie. Remember when they about Shireen Abu Akleh, they claimed that they didn't kill her, and then later on this got exposed that they did actually kill her, and it's only when it got exposed. So you can't trust the Israelis.
IDF never claimed that Palestinian militant killed her, and it never claimed that Vev himself killed her. While the IDF claimed there is possibility that Palestinian militant killed her, and later on claim there is maybe slightly more possibilities that she was killed accidentally by our firearm, but we never cancel out the possibility she was still killed by Palestinian militant.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically about possibility, not the self-conclusion who fired her.
Yeah.
They never made a statement, oh, they killed her or we killed her. They never made that.
And what's very funny is when the IDF actually comes out and says, yes, it happened from our side, we take responsibility, they say they only admitted it because it was exposed. So you are guilty anyway, like in any case, whether you deny it or you accept it, you take responsibility, you make it right, you take action. No matter what the case is, you are accused and blamed and vilified. And what does it even mean? Because they were exposed. Because they were exposed. It was reported that way from the very beginning. The IDF, as a proper military, investigated and came to the conclusion and presented the conclusion. That's not because you exposed them. It's because they are an actual proper military, unlike your terrorists.
Israeli news, they lie until they get exposed. My argument about Israel was that if we actually had independent sources, the situation would be much worse. So even with Israeli sources, the lies are being exposed.
Okay. Rebuttal to that?
Yeah, again, I've never heard anything about the festival being extended by one day. It seems like there's a lot of people that were able to stay there, even though the festival was extended. But let's assume that all of that was true. Even if it was extended by one day, why kill everybody at the festival? There's no reason for that. If you show up and you come upon a festival and you're like, oh, it's not supposed to be here, why would you start killing them? We've seen the bodies. I asked you for the source on that, and I understand we're not going to have sources like right here in the middle of a debate, but that 40 beheaded baby thing did not come from an Israeli source. That's why you said a journalist, and then you said I-24 News. I don't believe that there was an Israeli source for any of that story. A lot of it got spread around on Twitter, but none of this actually came from Israel. None of this came from the government. None of it came from the IDF. It was memes that started to get snowball on Twitter and then started to get spread around and people talked about it, but there was no actual initial report from the IDF or from any IDF person or spokesman about there being 40 beheaded babies. It just didn't happen. It was a meme that spread out of control on Twitter. You're talking about Ross Cohen. I don't know if you're sourcing.
That is correct. I would say that slight criticism to Destiny that he's being a little bit vague on where it came from, because it says no Israeli spokesperson. Maybe he doesn't know precisely how it came into existence, but he could there clarify how it actually happened. That it came from these vague I-24 news reports.
You can always find a blog or private guy in Israel who might spread that. It doesn't really change the main issue, but it was never an official argument.
Yeah. So Israeli officials, the Israeli government never ever made such a statement. The closest that you can get is that the Israel Twitter account, Israel, shared a news article or shared news that something like this happened. And the Israeli Twitter account is the Israeli Twitter account. It's people responsible for running a social media account and interacting with social media. It is not the office of Benjamin Netanyahu going out there and conducting investigations and making official statements and all that. It's not the IDF. Red Olympus said, it seems like countries with a history of Abrahamic faith have the highest levels of anti-Semitism. Look at the treatment of Axis Japan during World War II, for example. Does
he talking about how Japan treat the Jews?
Axis Japan during I don't know, I don't get it, but I don't actually know about that aspect very much. Japan and Jews.
I know that the Japanese during World War II didn't persecute the Jews in their territory. We just put them in their own ghettos, but we didn't really. Yeah. I mean, mainly because they didn't even know a lot about Jewish people. They heard about the protocols of the Elders of Zion, but they thought it just show how powerful the Jews are. So we should respect them more. Respect the Jews for all their power they have.
I still get people telling me about the protocols of the Elders of Zion. I mean, it's 2024. It is like, it's so ridiculous. It's the most obvious forgery, the most obvious fabrication of documents.
95% of the people who say, "Oh, the protocols predicted the future," never read one sentence for it. It says so much nonsense. It
is so stupid, man. It is so stupid. Read the thing. If you really, if you think, okay, you know, they are all talking about these protocols of the Elders of Zion. What is it? Go see what it's about. Read it. It's so stupid.
The protocols claim that there is a conspiracy that started by King Solomon like 3,000 years ago, and the plot is basically to create a global coup, basically a coup, to replace the Pope with their own Pope, and they do it by spreading liberalism against the Tsar. This is the argument, against the Russian Tsar. And basically only the Russian Tsar will stop them.
Yeah. Man, oh man, oh man.
Blumenthal in the gray zone for this, but I looked at the testimony that this guy gave on day one. On day one, when he was talking to a journalist outside of an ambulance, he didn't mention anything about seeing any rapes. But that's because it was a 3-minute clip that went viral on Twitter that got cut from a larger conversation. If you find the original conversation that exists on Facebook, he literally starts talking about rapes right after that 3-minute cut. They just didn't include it in the original.
Seriously, I really want to have a debate with Sulaiman Ahmed. Not because I want to debate with him all the facts, but because I want to confront him, just like I did with Daniel Kikiju, but probably more firmly, on all of the lies that he spread, and expose him right there and make a fool of him with all the lies going on. Seriously, I probably can get in touch with some people to arrange this, but I really want to have a debate with him on camera, in person, possibly.
Twitter video.
Mosh says, I sent you a message on Twitter. I want to delete that cancer app already. Please so respond. I will check it out, Mosh. I will check it out. Thank you. Mosh said, finally, Adin is here. I didn't show him the martyr posters they issue for the innocent Palestinians gunned down with no reason. And then it says
I'm talking about that thread I made. Like I basically made an update thread, which I documented every Palestinian who was reportedly killed by the IDF in the West Bank. And I basically tell why he was basically add more like what it was his military affiliation, what he did at the moment he was killed and all. So so far, like I document since the start of this year, I documented like 140 Palestinians who were killed by Israeli forces, and like at least 120 of them were affiliated with militant group. So
nice. Yeah.
I still updated with time.
Well, I'll have a look at that.
Video because it was cut down for a time or something. I'm not entirely sure. When we say that we can't trust anything that the IDF says, I mean, we can run with that, but why would I trust anything Hamas says? Hamas literally put out a flyer saying that we don't kill civilians. We would never do this, despite the fact that dead Hamas soldiers are being found with documents on them, giving them explicit instructions on how to ask for people to take their clothes off, how to ask for people to come with them, or how to take people hostage. And then we've got videos of them taking people hostages. We've got videos of people walking up and down cars, seeing charred bodies and seeing dead people in cars. This was way before IDF choppers showed up and started firing. You don't think that any of the Israeli citizens that were walking up and down the highways, finding all of the dead bodies, you don't think that any of them would have noticed there were Apache helicopters that were raining down hellfire on any of the cars? None of this actually happened. There would have been people reporting it. There would have been people posting videos of it.
Okay. Turn it to Sulaiman.
Well, that's crazy.
He's acting surprised that when he said none of this actually happened.
I think the most can't handle like he speak exactly how he write this Sulaiman guy. Like, you know, he always write with big letters and with capital letters, and look like always you read what he says. Even when you read him, you feel like he scream at you.
He will not respond to the vast majority of what Destiny just said. Pretty sure. Let's see.
You said there was no Apache helicopters when we literally got the evidence of it. We've got Israeli.
Destiny never said there were no Apache helicopters. You absolute moron. He never said there were no Apache helicopters. He said that it didn't happen, that the Apache helicopters came in and set everything on fire and killed all these people. That's what he said. He never said there were no Apache helicopters.
I mean, like all the footage of Apache helicopters are on the borders of Gaza, not in the Nova Festival or in the kibbutzim or in the road between them. All the footage is on the border.
Look, we have the footage. It was published by the IDF themselves, okay?
Yeah.
Of Apache helicopters firing at the border. Exchanging fire and firing at vehicles driven or operated by Hamas. We know there were Apache helicopters at the border.
Yeah, we know, like, we're not denying that part, that we use the Apache helicopter to basically eliminate every suspect here. Hamas will come from the borders or back to the border.
Yeah, but what did not happen is that Apache helicopters went in at the beginning of this terrorist attack and started shooting at random people and killing civilians.
No
and setting
evidence that they shoot at Nova Festival or in the road outside Boston Festival.
None of this happened.
And
that's precisely what Destiny is clearly denying here. And he responds to Destiny not even just within a few seconds, and completely attacks a straw man argument. Look at this here, just very clear.
Finding all of the dead bodies, you don't think that any of them would have seeing charred bodies and seeing dead people in cars? This was way before IDF choppers showed up and started firing. You don't think that any of the Israeli citizens that were walking up and down the highways finding all of the dead bodies, you don't think that any of them would have noticed that there were Apache helicopters that were raining down hellfire on any of the cars? None of this actually happened. There would have been people reporting it. There would have been people posting videos of it.
Okay. Turn it to Sulaiman.
Oh, that's crazy. You said there was no Apache helicopters when we literally got the evidence of it. We've got Israeli.
You heard it right there. So I'm not sure what to say, but this guy is either completely stupid, or he's just I don't know what it is. Selective hearing, some might say just complete dishonesty. But how can you even be dumb enough to so blatantly twist something and lie, where everyone can clearly see that you're responding to something completely different that nobody ever said?
I mean, why not a single Israeli civilian film with Apache helicopter shooting at them or something like, or shooting toward these other Israeli civilian?
Yeah.
You think what we have footage of them filming Hamas shooting at them, even,
Yeah. We have Hamas going into the festival and shooting at people. We have footage from them. We have Hamas filming themselves hunting people down and shooting at civilians who are on the ground.
And it's enough, even if you look at the bodies, do they look like they were being blown off by Apache helicopter? Like they just laying inside the car. The car is completely intact and they just dead inside the car.
It's so ridiculous, man. It is so absolutely ridiculous. There was one footage which they were referring to, which propagandists like that absolute scum of a person, Syrian girl, was spreading, which is that footage from the sky shows that vehicles were burnt up, and this clearly shows that they were attacked by a helicopter. Excuse me, look at this. Vehicles...
They're completely fine. Like how the vehicles are completely intact. We don't see any burning on them. We don't see any roof of them.
Imagine, like here, for example, look, clearly shot by an Apache helicopter, but for some reason only the glass broke a little bit, and that's it.
Some of also open the doors of each one of them. Almost for each of them, they open the doors.
Yeah. It's because the Apache helicopters came down and opened the doors and all that, But some of them are burnt up. Some of them are in terrible situation, but you can see why if you just watch videos which Hamas terrorists filmed themselves, where they are actively using RPG launchers, which set things on fire once they explode.
Yeah, it will not be such a precise vehicle will somehow buy the Apache helicopter and all the rest will be fine.
Yes. It would be nice if I had handy one of the footages where you can see their RPG launchers. Here you have a footage of them randomly going to a civilian home. This is a kibbutz, and shooting into a home on site. Clearly not a military target. Did you hear that? There's
Yeah.
a person in there. He sees the person and just shoots on sight. This is not a military target. It's not a military operation. Does this look like a military operation to anybody? If these guys walking through the kibbutz looking for victims. Shooting on sight into homes, into civilian homes at random people. Does this look like military operation to anybody?
في حدا؟
Looting a home. This guy being shot and killed here.
Yeah.
The only good thing here.
Yeah. At least a happy ending.
Yeah. Maybe he can go to his virgins in heaven and enjoy them or something. I don't know. And so on. Specifically looking, I thought I remember having footage of them shooting. Oh, here you can see an RPG launcher here, right, for example. And a dead soldier.
He probably was about to shoot it, but probably civilian shoot back, so he just crawl out of it.
Yeah. And here, like with the kibbutz, people in the kibbutz are shooting back and defending themselves and killing some of the terrorists. But their reasoning now is, oh look, the people in the kibbutz are armed because they are military, so therefore it was justified to attack the kibbutz. No, the people in the kibbutz are specifically have defense groups or
Kitat Konenut, basically a squad.
To protect themselves.
It's called the defense squad, basically the civil defense squad. But basically, we're just civilians, but in extreme situation, that under attack, they grab their own basically licensed weapon to defend themselves.
Yes. Here is one of those people who were, I think I have the footage here. I'm not gonna play the video, but here he goes, and this person, he ran here, he hid, he's on the ground. Party goer. This is from the Nova Music Festival in Reim. This guy goes there and point blank execution. This is a war crime. Sulaiman Ahmed says this didn't happen. Point blank execution. That's what this is.
I mean, at least Daniel Ikat should just make the argument of the all legitimate military target.
Yeah. Okay. And you can also see, by the way, how many of them are just walking around with regular clothes, with gym clothes, with these pants, not even in military outfit. Well, this is also how they fight very much in Gaza, and then they claim they're civilians.
Yeah, I mean, it's very common in Gaza that they just walk between houses like with no weapons and nothing, no gear. And just walk between home, and then because each home they planted in advance a weapon and a defense gear, so we just go between houses with no identify, with no weapons even, and just go to one house, grab a weapon, shoot at the IDF, and then drop a weapon and move to the next house.
يلا بسم الله. طيب ايوه يا شباب.
You have them clearly seeing loading and using RPGs here in the kibbutz in a civilian community. This is Hamas. This is not an Apache helicopter, as you can see, and so on. You have civilians here celebrating. I hope they're all dead now, and so on. Yeah.
Literal news, Haaretz saying that basically in Kibbutz Berry, they start shooting short artillery fire and killed 182 people, I believe, 118, I can't remember the exact number, but it was in the hundreds of people. Yasmin Porat says that they basically, when they were shooting and killing, they killed their own people.
He's mentioning Yasmin Porat as if it was a very well-known, famous person or spokesperson. He's speaking of a civilian named by the name of Yasmin Porat, who was held by Hamas terrorists for a few minutes, and the terrorists who held her then waited for security forces to arrive, upon which they exchanged fire with them. In the crossfire, she says civilians probably died in the crossfire.
Yeah, she did. She never said she saw civilians getting killed by IDF fire. She just assumed that maybe some of them were killed. She also claimed that Hamas used the hostages as a human shield.
Yes. She actually says, literally, that's what she says. She says, my captor used me as a human shield until he was sure that they will not shoot him. Then he let me go and surrendered. Like that's what she says. So she actually says that she was used as human shield by the terrorists, just like others. And many people probably died in the crossfire. That's what she says. You can find her account on the whole situation, which I might link at some point. But this is a regular civilian giving an account, and this guy is completely misrepresenting it and lying about it. Absolute bastard. Absolute bastard, man. Hey, thank you, Mars incoming. That's very nice. Thank you, Mars incoming. Let's see, what is this? Mars incoming gifted 50 Apostate Prophet memberships. Thank you so much. I appreciate it very, very much. Lots of people in the chat who are lucky enough to be here at such a wonderful time have just become members for free. Thank you. Appreciate it very, very much for helping to expand this cult that we're leading. And what you gifted 50 more. So these are 100 memberships gifted. Very, very nice. Thank you so much. That's very generous of you. Appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. And also on top of that, made a donation, a super chat, which has a Hebrew text that I cannot read.
They are savages.
Oh yeah, they are. They are indeed. They are indeed. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. That means a lot. Mars incoming. Very, very nice. Very, very helpful. Thank you. Very much appreciated. All right.
Eyewitness testimony from the Israeli side saying this, never mind the Hamas side. In terms of what you said, what you're not understanding is when the Nova Festival was there, they weren't expecting it. So then the plan wasn't there. What they didn't expect was for the Israelis to lose their mind and start attacking them and killing them and basically applying the Hannibal Directive in a mass scale. Hannibal Directive is...
Hannibal Directive, like, it was a policy that exists on paper before until 2016. We're talking about soldiers in the middle of battle basically being kidnapped. It doesn't talk about civilians being kidnapped at all. And the policy has been completely cancelled. They basically cancelled and basically been out of the IDF lexicon from 2016. Some IDF soldiers claim that they use it as guideline to rescue their comrade, but other soldiers during October 7th. But nothing, there is no evidence it was ever used about civilians.
Yeah. There is simply no such thing. The idea there was, if there is a situation where the other side, where terrorists take military captives with them, a harsh decision may be taken where at the cost of losing the military personnel, the targets may be taken out if necessary. But this directive never included the killing of civilians or anything like that. And it doesn't exist.
It's a military policy in battle. Never was about civilian hostages situation. There is Israel dealt with a lot of hostages situation throughout its history, and none of them were involved. Let's just kill the hostages. I mean, you can look back in Entebbe in the 1970. You can look at them, a lot of incidents in 74. Like all of them were basically trying to take out the terrorists and not harm the civilians in all cost.
Bro, Mars Incoming is really acting like a Mossad personnel here, like a Mossad officer, rewarding us for this live stream with more memberships, gifted 50 more memberships, and 50 more memberships, 200 memberships gifted. Are you okay, Mars Incoming? I appreciate it very much, and I'm sure so do all the other people who have just become members thanks to your gifting. Thank you. I appreciate it very, very much. Very generous of you. This is a secret anonymous Mossad handler who is actually employing me to do all of this, and is also gifting a bunch of memberships right now. That's what's happening. That's my only explanation I have.
They kill their own people so that they don't become hostages. That's what happened. So it wasn't Abdul, let's kill it. It was Epstein. Let's not kill these. Let's not kill.
Of course, Epstein.
Of course.
Andrew.
I don't know why he alludes to Epstein. Of course, obviously thinking of Jeffrey Epstein when his friend Andrew Tate is pretty much like Jeffrey Epstein. If not
And Hamas and Hezbollah themselves were documented to get involved in global prostitution.
Yeah. And many people don't get this, but we talked about Andrew. I talked about Andrew Tate a lot at some point when the whole issue was more controversial. But what Jeffrey Epstein is accused of is not very different from what Andrew Tate is accused of. And so actually not accused of. What Jeffrey Epstein did is not very different from what Andrew Tate did. They engaged in trafficking minors very much on a similar basis with similar methods by deceiving people and employing them and so on. So not sure why people like these allude to Jeffrey Epstein here.
I mean, Sulaiman is kind of like the Alan Dershowitz of Andrew Tate.
Yes, pretty much. Mars Incoming gifted 50 more memberships, and then gifted 50 more memberships. If we continue like this, everyone here is going to be a member of this channel. Thank you, man. Thank you, Mars.
Just give just give 100 of membership in advance, like in one go.
Yeah. That's very, very nice of you. What does this one say?
I was in Israel 2 weeks ago and I cried. He didn't write Israel correctly, but I got what he would try to say.
Yeah, it is pretty bad what happened. I do want to go back and continue getting more stuff out of Israel and tell the world Israel endured something horrible at the hands of these savages and has to put an end to it.
Let's just shoot everyone. Don't let any hostages out because we're going to have to negotiate. That's actually what happened. In terms of...
It's actually not what happened. No such thing was established or proven or said or done. The Hannibal Directive, which no longer exists, was not about that either. And there is no single proof, no single evidence that such a thing ever took place of, in one place, the idea of killing 100 civilians of their own. None of these things happened.
He just when he mentioned Be'eri, he just took the entire deaths in Be'eri and came out. All of them were killed by IDF soldiers.
There is a possibility that in Kibbutz Be'eri, I think that's also where what Yasmin Port is referring to.
But the later investigation concluded they were executed by Hamas before Israeli tank topped fire.
So initially somebody held hostage, but who didn't actually see what happened, said they may or may not have been crossfire, and that may have been responsible for a dozen or more people killed, but she wasn't sure about how many or if it actually happened. She says, surely it must have happened, but that's just her speculating. However, he takes the entire total death toll of Kibbutz Be'eri and says that they were all killed by the IDF, which is completely made up. No, completely made up. There is no single evidence that says such a thing. On the contrary, we have evidence against. We have footage from Kibbutz Be'eri where Hamas goes around and kills people.
I mean, Be'eri, it's quite personal because I was born in Kibbutz Be'erot Yitzhak, which was originally in the 1948 war. Before the 1948 war, was stationed where Kibbutz Be'eri is, because the Egyptian army destroyed the kibbutz during that war. It was relocated up north, and Be'eri was built later on its ruin. So it was built on a previous destroyed kibbutz.
When I was there, I asked if we could go to Kibbutz Be'eri. All I did was we drove there and I saw just the gate, the entrance. But at that time when we arrived, it was already too late. The people living in Be'eri said that they want to start rebuilding and no longer want to have any visitors or any witnesses or anything. So they started rebuilding, weren't allowing anyone unless under very strict circumstances, or if international organizations come, for example, to enter and have a look. But we were directed to other kibbutzim, like Kibbutz Kisofim, which we extensively looked at and witnessed, and it was terrible. So what?
It was the first time in history that a terrorist group did an invasion on a sovereign country. Because ISIS was just forming a vacuum of dissolved countries. Did the military invasion of countries.
Yeah. Renew said my shekels for AP, who is disproving the lying Hamas propaganda machine. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. And also to Adin here, who is doing a fantastic job as well. Marcin Cumming is gifting 50 more memberships and 50 more memberships. Is it like 300 at this point? I don't know. That's very, very nice of you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it a lot. Lei Vegas also gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. At this point, everyone here is going to become a member. Thank you so much.
And it is his testimony changed. And you mentioned in terms of the hostages held by Hamas. Bro, as soon as the hostages came out, all of them were literally saying they treat us really well, they didn't abuse us, they didn't sexually assault us. And then what happened was the Israelis were like, what the hell? These guys are making Hamas look good, like they're treating them like angels. They're treating them so well. They're giving them food as they're eating food themselves. And then what they did was when they started releasing hostages, they kept a blockade and they didn't let them speak to the media.
False. There are so many lies here. Number one, first off, taking hostages is a war crime. There is no justification for it. Whether you treat them well or treat them badly, what they say or don't say, none of it matters. You are not allowed to take hostages under any circumstances. It is a clear-cut war crime. Number two, all the hostages came out and said they were treated very well. Bullshit. That's a complete lie.
Some of them said, but it was because the brother or a mother or some other relative was still hostage there.
Yes. Certain hostages did initially give a good reaction or waved or said, yeah, everything is okay. And later, once they were gone, said that this was in consideration of, first of, getting away there, and secondly, thinking of all the hostages that are still there for their benefit. I was also told, by the way, when I was in Israel, that that there are certain hostages that I'm not supposed to speak to at this point because it could endanger other hostages that are still there. And which is why no word should be spoken by them. And this is not something that I'm just a secret that I'm publicizing or anything like that.
There is many stories of people who were held hostage by ISIS who also claim they were treated well. I know people who were held hostage by the Russian who were also initially claimed they were treated pretty well. It's very common that when you're in that environment pressure, that you're under that pressure to basically
Yeah, we have multiple hostages that were returned who were mistreated, who said they were mistreated, multiple hostages who said they were sexually assaulted, they were raped, who also gave their testimony to experts, to doctors, to Israeli experts, to non-Israeli experts, to the UN envoy, and so on. All of this is, of course, disregarded because as soon as somebody says something negative, and if you look on average, most hostages coming out of there did say negative things. People like Sulaiman Ahmed will say, oh no, now they're just lying because they were brainwashed by Israel or given instructions by Israel. How are you supposed to argue with this guy? Anything that goes against the narrative is a lie.
I mean, if you live in that basically echo chamber, there is nothing we really can do. Like, it's useless to really at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the more evidence we'll give him, the more it will prove to him that there is a greater conspiracy.
I know for a fact that Mia Shem is one of the hostages who famously people mocked her and attacked her so much after she came out because initially when she was being freed, she said, yeah, everything was fine, food was good, everything good. Then she left and then she started speaking out on how bad they actually were in Gaza and how many others are still enduring suffering there. And she gave 2 interviews, and I know for a fact that both of the interviews were severely censored and cut short, and things were cut out because of considerations for the safety of hostages who are still in Hamas captivity for different reasons, such as exposing certain things that might put them in danger, or
sometimes they
trying to lower the heat.
Sometimes they contain a military information that could help the IDF to find the next hostages, and we don't want that Hamas will know what the IDF knows.
And so on. This guy is just a bastard.
For weeks and months to put the propaganda into their minds, to control them, to manipulate them and make them lie. That's actually what happened. You talked about Hamas having documents. This is the most ridiculous argument ever. Like, no one believes this whole fake, like, oh, we were left with a passport, we were left some documents. Hamas are very clear. The charter is very clear. They have no issue with in terms of Jews, Christians, or Muslims. Their charter is literally saying that they want freedom for the Palestinians. So in reality, the Hamas charter is very clear and their actions are very clear. This was a military occupation, military attack to save their own people.
Okay.
He completely disregarded most of what Destiny said as predicted, and also he just lied.
I mean, I already noticed he made that passport conspiracy theory argument, but in many terrorist attacks, they found the passport of a terrorist, and this is how we identify him, and already conspiracy theories made, oh, how could the passport survive that attack, basically.
Yeah. Everyone, if you don't have access to the Hamas charter, you can find it. You can just Google it. Just Google Hamas charter.
Hamas said that is willing to accept the Jewish religion under the dhimmi system, basically only the Jewish as a religious sect beneath of Islam until the end of the days.
Let's look for the word Jew here. Our struggle against the Jews. It doesn't say Zionists. It doesn't say Israel. It says our struggle against the Jews. Interesting. Is very great and very serious. It needs all sincere effort. The day of the judgment will not come about until Muslims fight the Jews, killing the Jews. When the Jew will behind stones and trees, the stones and trees will say, "O Muslim, O servant of Allah, there is a Jew behind me. Come and kill him." Only the Gharqad tree would not do that because it is one of the tree of the Jews. But the Jews will not be pleased with you, neither the Christians, until you follow their religion. There are some people going around right now trying to rile up people against the Jews and saying, "Oh, Christians, we're actually with you. We should unite." Not according to the Quran. The Quran says that Jews and Christians are allies of one another, and you shouldn't trust them. You should. That's what the Quran says.
I mean, I don't like. What is funny, like both from the white nationalists and the Islamists to push for Islam, Christian Islam basically brotherhood. Like the white nationalists tend to praise the Crusades. So how exactly it will work out?
It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's just they are trying to use each other just to get the current goal of hating Jews and fighting Jews. As soon as they're done with the Jews, they would start killing each other. The
it's
Islamists.
also Marxists and communists, like Hamas charter claim that communism is a Jewish Zionist conspiracy.
Yeah. The day enemies, in face of the Jews' usurpation of Palestine, the Jews made no exception for women and children. Jews conquered the holy city, Israel, Judaism, and Jews challenged Islam, and so on, with the warmongering Jews.
He does say he doesn't have a problem with Judaism as a religion, basically.
Yeah.
So it's basically vague, like,
Under the wing of Islam, it is possible for the followers of the three religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, to coexist in peace and quiet with each other. Peace and quiet would not be possible except under the wing of Islam. So,
this is a statement that he takes. But see ours. Here they are not against Jews. They are completely will fine.
Imagine an entire document which repeatedly vilifies the Jews, says the Jews are evil, the Jews will be fought, we can't wait for the day that we will exterminate the Jews. And then at some point the document says, under our ideology, we could all live in peace.
It's
and
kind
then
of
you
like
go and
when
you take
the
that as
Taliban,
good.
it's kind of like when the Taliban say the moderate charter of the Taliban, they say, oh, we will allow freedom and equality for all the women, and basically we'll give them education, all that, under Islam, under what Islam allowed, basically.
Why would anybody trust these guys and say, oh, under Islam, oh, okay, fine, let's just take us, let's come under Islam, when throughout the entire document,
I mean, even that it doesn't even want to recognize Jews as a people. It's only say some vague thing about Judaism as a religion. So even the people, it doesn't say anything about them. It doesn't say anything positive.
And there is just one Quran verse which I would just want to go back to and talk about again and again and again, for all those who like to spread propaganda. Look at what this says. O you who have believed, do not take the Jews and Christians as allies or as friends. They are in fact allies or friends of one another. And whoever is an ally or friend to them among you, then indeed he is one of them. So I'm sorry if you think that this is just about the conflict and we shouldn't get into the religious aspect and all of that, but this is what they believe and what they propagate all day long. And this here clearly says, no matter what strategic crap you are taking into consideration right now, it says do not take the Jews and Christians as friends. Jews and Christians are friends of one another, and if you become one of them, then you are. If you befriend them, then you are one of them. So anyone who goes around and says the Jews are the big problem, we should all unite, you are going against the Quran, which clearly says the opposite. It declares war on both Jews and Christians. It's not just about Jews. It's about Jews and Christians. So if you want to disregard the hostilities against the Jews, you're making a huge mistake here.
I mean, to be honest, the only group among the Palestinians that I can say that they're definitely Palestinian nationalists, not Islamist or pan-Arabist, but nationalist about the Palestinian nationalism that they believed in, are the Christians.
They actually have a heritage. They actually have a history of leading further back than those who generally identify as Palestinian Muslims.
Yeah.
Like there is a thing on average, if you look at the genetics of Palestinian Christian groups and Palestinian Muslim groups, they have like almost twice as much connection to the land as the Palestinian Muslims do. The Palestinian Muslims have heavy influence on average from Arab invasions and North African invasions and so on. Yeah.
I think Destiny, you went first on this one, right?
maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you did. So Sulaiman got the last word. We could do a lightning round if you guys are good. Then I got one more question.
Sure. Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, we could do a lightning round here. Then that way you guys can go ahead and have the open dialogue with each other. I saw that you guys had some things. You had one too?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, for the hostages that came out initially. Yeah, the first 100 hostages that came out didn't say anything about mistreatment, of course, because they only let people out that had family members that were still being held hostage. You're not going to come out and be like, yeah, they're treated like shit there. I think they're raping everybody, and then all of a sudden you're.
That's not true.
A lot of the hostages came out, yes, because they only allowed women and children of families to come out.
Some of the hostages were, but some of them weren't. And this was a fake news. But this was what Zionists made. They made the argument that when that woman came out and literally said, "We've been treating really well," they were like, "Oh, husband's still there," and we actually checked it. It was fake news. So this is like the fake news.
You don't think there's any family members that are still being held from any of the?
I just said some of them.
Even if it's not family members, the fact that you would come out and start talking about the hostages when they release you wouldn't make sense to tell.
About it now then?
Well, now because I don't even know if there are any hostages left alive. Israel just tried to do because Israel.
Oh my God, this guy is just such a bastard. Right now, we don't even. Actually, we have confirmation that maybe half of the hostages still being held are probably dead.
Still assume they don't Still assume that around 120 and 130, maybe there's possibility that they are alive.
Mm-hmm. Mars incoming 50 more memberships.
Israel tried to do a ceasefire where they wanted to trade 40 hostages, and for some reason Israel's coming out at 33 because it sounds like Hamas doesn't even have 40 hostages to trade.
Well, the thing is, Israel has killed a lot of their own hostages. That's happened for sure. But in reality, what's happened is the reason they need to negotiate is because.
They don't even notice how self-productive that argument is. Like, for one hand, they claim that Israel bombed Gaza indiscriminately, basically shoot it everywhere and basically blindly. But on the other hand, they say, oh, they killed so many hostages, like almost all the hostages that were killed by Israeli fire. So how can this mathematically be possible? Like, it sounds like possible. Like, if you follow the argument, it seems like that Israel directly target Hamas, which holds those hostages.
Yeah.
If you follow the argument,
Israel indiscriminately carpet bombed the entire Gaza Strip and also directly targeted the hostages. Not something like that, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense at all, but just say it,
The disagreement why no ceasefire is agreed is because Hamas want a permanent ceasefire, because the last ceasefire, what happened was when they got their own Palestinian hostages back, even within them 7 days, the Zionists took more hostages. So this is the problem. So it's illogical from Hamas's perspective.
Hamas has been asking for a 10-year ceasefire, okay, not a permanent ceasefire, because they want to qualify with 10 years because they still want to go to war with Israel in the future. But regardless, they don't have the right to ask for it.
This is not right. They want a permanent ceasefire.
You can't.
No, they don't.
Even they declared just recently that even if Israel retreat from all the territories, both basically leave all the military from Gaza, retreat completely to the 67, establish Palestinian state, and give them the right of return inside Israel, it will give them 5 years of ceasefire.
This is just a complete lie, man. Like, you can't trust anybody who stands up and defends Hamas. You can't trust anybody at this point. Any of these people, any of these bastards. We have it right from their mouths. We have it right from those guys' mouths, who say that they will do this again and again and again, and they are happy to martyr their own people. Let's see, where's that? 5 shekels. Let's see, where can I find that? I have a screenshot here of this guy saying October 7, October 10, October 1 million, everything we do is justified. We will do it again. We must teach Israel a lesson. We will do this again and again and again. Trying to find the video. Thought I had it somewhere here. But Hamas, in their own words, this guy clearly says he's a credible authority of Hamas. He says we will do this again and again and again until Israel is completely destroyed.
It's kind of like, we know that people try to imagine historical scenarios, like what will happen if the Nazis didn't attack the Soviet Union or didn't declare war on the United States. Like, at the moment you make that assumption, what you do, you basically, what if the Nazis weren't Nazis? You completely take away their ideology. The same thing with Hamas. Like, the moment you say that Hamas agree for permanent ceasefire with Israel, it's no longer Hamas. It's not what it is. It's not what it stands for.
Even in that 2017 declaration, they said that even if they temporarily agree to certain borders, they will never stop until all of the land belongs to them, to the Arab Muslims. That's what Hamas is. Just stop lying about that, man. These people.
You can't capture hostages and then make demands off of having hostages. That's not how military conflict works. And then when you bring up
but that's happened in the past because Israelis have hostages. Previously, what's happened is they've traded one Palestinian.
Nope, Israel doesn't have hostages.
Hostages for 1,000 Israeli
halfway,
hostages.
1.5 minutes.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Wasn't that the exact opposite? Wasn't that the start of 2008 where they had one Israeli hostage and they traded him for 1,000 Palestinian hostages?
That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Also, you bring up like the attack helicopters. You bring up the attack helicopters, and yes, because war crimes pay off. Yes, that Apache helicopters were shooting.
The Israelis were killing the old people.
Yeah, that happened in places where there were holdouts from Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad that were still fighting. You bring up Kibbutz
No,
Be'eri.
that's not right. That's not right.
Absolutely right. There is no.
Why were there 200 charred Palestinians and 100 charred Israelis? Because they weren't differentiated. They did the Hannibal Directive, and this is.
Oh my God. Okay, I just want to ask people to for one piece of information whenever they bring up this nonsense, which is, can you provide one single piece of evidence that Israel actually attacked and killed the people at the Nova Music Festival, for example?
I mean, and find me one evidence that he ever used the Hannibal Directive against civilians.
No.
Not soldiers, because I hear they give up some hint that soldiers said they did it to rescue their comrades. But no, I haven't saw anything but about civilians.
This is from Israeli sources. Israeli sources confirmed that they applied the Hannibal Directive.
Nope, they did not, because that Hannibal Directive.
Israeli sources cannot confirm that they applied the Hannibal Directive because the Hannibal Directive doesn't exist.
Has never been confirmed.
It's in Haaretz.
No, the Haaretz article that everybody cites, and I've read the original article on this because Blumenthal cites it in the Grayson article.
There's many articles.
Do you find it strange? Okay, if you're aware of that article, do you think it's strange that the article had that they had fired on some likely Israeli civilians without even putting that in the headline? Wouldn't that seem like a really big story?
Say it again.
In the article that you're talking about, because the original language is in Hebrew, I don't even know if this is published in English. In the Hebrew, they literally say at one point that they had shot, and there were probably some Israeli people that were still being held by Hamas.
Many.
It was not many. That word was never used.
How many were killed in Kibbutz Be'eri? How many were killed in Kibbutz Be'eri?
Total, or when the IDF came back
when the
through?
artillery started firing short artillery fire.
We don't know how many were killed after that.
Well, according to Haaretz, it was either 118 or 181. I can't remember exactly.
There's no shot.
That is a complete lie.
The Haaretz says that 70 total vehicles were being shot by Apache helicopters. It doesn't say that they all hold Israeli hostages. They all hold Israelis. Like, you need to assume that each one of those vehicles had dozens of hostages packed in each one of a single vehicle to believe that from there to get that Israel killed hundreds of their own.
Yeah, this is just ridiculous. If you asked this person here, this being, to present the evidence and show us directly, this is what I did to Daniel Kikichu. When I had him on here, when I debated with him, you probably saw it.
Yeah, and I saw it. Like, it was the context of a Nova festival, but it was not related even to Nova. It was related to vehicles crossing the border.
Yes, I kept saying to him, show me exactly where it says that. Show me. He couldn't find it, and then he's like, "Well, you're an idiot. You're stupid." I would just want to do the same thing to him. Just show us evidence. Show me direct evidence where it says that indeed happened. They can't. It does not exist. It is a lie. Just take responsibility. Okay, you were absolutely horrible terrorist bastards, massacred people on October 7. And you know what? Honestly, at this point, there is no need for a debate, because whether you accept it or not, the consequences of that are currently unfolding, and Hamas will be destroyed. And yes, there will be civilian casualties as a part of a war, unfortunately. But the consequences will unfold, and Hamas will be destroyed. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you acknowledge it or not, Sully, or whoever else wants to talk against this, because we all know what happened. We don't even need your confirmation. Now watch the show that is going to happen in Rafah.
I mean, that's already, some hints are going to start.
Yeah. Very funny. In the morning, so Israel is... Wait a minute. Hamas just said they are willing to accept a ceasefire proposal from Egypt and Qatar. Of course, now that Israel said we are getting ready to get into Rafah, they said ceasefire proposal.
The resistance is winning. It's pretty well.
Let's see. What does this say? Hamas announced Monday it has accepted an Egyptian-Qatari ceasefire proposal, but there was no immediate word from Israel, leaving it uncertain whether a deal had been sealed to bring a halt to a 7-month-long war in Gaza. It was the first glimmer of hope that a deal might avert further bloodshed. Hours earlier, Israel ordered some 100,000 Palestinians to begin evacuating the southern Gaza town of Rafah, signaling that an attack was imminent. The United States and other key allies of Israel oppose an offensive on Rafah, where around 1.4 million Palestinians, more than half of Gaza's population, are sheltering. Yeah, that's why there is a safe zone for them to evacuate.
Yeah. I mean, there was also, I also met so many people who argue that Israel bombed Palestinians in the safe zone, and I always give them the maps and show me where is the bombing of the safe zone.
There is no source at all.
The only way they made it out, they claim that the entire south of Gaza was declared as a safe zone somehow. So basically, any bombing of Israel in the south of Gaza is considered, Israel bombed the safe zone.
I will show everyone how things are actually going. In the morning, I woke up and I saw somebody tweet something as stupid as, now IDF terrorists are harassing people in Rafah and telling them to evacuate. And I'm thinking to myself, harassing? Bro, they're telling you to evacuate, and you think that it's harassing. So if they said nothing and just started bombing.
This morning, basically, the IDF put a nail in the coffin to the conspiracy that the entire operation was to genocide Palestinians into Egypt, because they told them to evacuate it up north, not to the south.
Yeah. Look, here's a phone call between an IDF personnel or Israeli personnel and a civilian from Gaza. This was Egyptian atheist, my friend, I think, put the translation up there and posted it. Look at this. This is a clear example of what Israel actually does and how people react.
حتكون كبيرة جدا، في خطر كمان عليك. لازم تطلع من البيت انت والأسرة وتبعدوا كمان نص كيلو. تمام؟ كم واحد معك؟ كم واحد معك؟
الأسرة كثير.
لازم يطلعوا كلهم. كم كثير؟
يعني 20 كل الأسرة.
كم عائلة؟
3 عائلات.
تمام. يحكي مع الإخوة. أنا بستنى لحد ما تطلعوا. ما في عندنا.
Do you see that? Tell them that we will wait until everyone evacuates. This is what the Israeli personnel says. We will evacuate now. We're going to strike a target. You are in the radius. Get out of there. Move away. Evacuate. We will wait until you have evacuated. This is what Israel is saying.
أنا بستنى لحد ما تطلعوا. ما في عندنا كثير واقف. تمام يا أبو يونس.
إحنا بعاد عن البنك.
اسمعني هذا خطير. يطلعوا من البيوت ويبعدوا كمان نص كيلو. كمان الختيارية وكمان الأطفال. هذا بعيد. القنبلة حتكون كبيرة.
يا حبيبي أنا بقدرش أطلع كل الناس هذول أنا بدي أقل شيء ساعتين قبل ما كلهم يطلعوا.
يا أخوي لو ما بتطلع أنا بطوح.
انت طخ اللي بدك اياه سويه، اللي بتنزل الارض وتطلع.
حد لازم يعمل كل شيء.
You see that? The Israeli personnel says, brother, we will proceed with the strike regardless of whether you leave or not. This is a very clear warning. We're not joking. Leave, evacuate now. You have to get out of there. The civilian from Gaza says, strike us then. Do whatever you want.
طخ اللي بدك اياه سويه، اللي بتنزل الارض وتطلع.
حد لازم يعمل كل شيء منشان ما تموت.
احنا
عندك.
He says we want to die.
عندك مسؤولية على الأطفال.
بدنا نموت. كل الأطفال لازم يموتوا.
لا سمح الله لا سمح الله بدك تستشهد.
Our children also will die. Our children also have to die. We want to die. That's what he says.
لازم يموتوا. لا سمح الله لا سمح الله بدك تستشهد عشان تبين بشاعتكم. الله يلعنكم. الله يلعنكم.
Yes, we want to die because we want to expose your
I
brutality.
mean, the thing is about, denying what Hamas use human shield and all that. Like, the most dumb thing about this aspect of, it's all made by the IDF, it's all fabricated, all that. Like, the first people who made that allegation against Hamas that he's using human shield, that he's using Palestinians, were other Palestinians. Like, back in 2006, there was basically a confrontation, basically a military coup against Fatah by Hamas. And it was Fatah and other Palestinian militant faction who accused Hamas of using Palestinians as human shield. And it was documented back then by Human Rights Watch, by Amnesty, by all the human rights organizations that they saw, all of them documented back then. But Hamas using human shield, he used hospitals, he used all of that. It was only later on in 2009 when Israel also joining to accuse Hamas, when people start to doubt this and say, Israel probably just justify its action.
Yeah. Here is what happens, and there's a reason why the IDF, why Israel has all of these recordings. If they went to court over these things, they could publish these conversations, which would, of course, at that point be verified and authenticated to see if they are authentic or not. They could present this as evidence to show one thing very clearly. They made multiple very serious efforts to avoid civilian casualties, to send people away into a designated safe zone, of which a map has also been published, and given and dropped on the civilian population. They have a military target. In order to hit that military target, they have to use a means which will also put these civilians into a dangerous situation and risk their lives. They have to tell these people to get out of there. And they say, we will proceed bombing. You have to get out. This is not a joke. If the civilians refuse to get out and as a result of that die, Israel can take these demands, these calls as evidence to show that the army did whatever they could to consider the proportionality of this strike, because there was no other way to strike the military target, and to minimize civilian casualties, but the civilians did not listen. As a result of that, they died. And with that, Israel will thereby avoid being because that's what this is. Here, the civilian himself is risking his own entire family, his 20 family members, and killing them, and there will be no justice for this because it's his fault.
اللي ترمي السما تتلقى الارض سووا اللي بدكم اياه.
ابو يونس
اسمع ما تقنعني انا ما بدي اطلع من البيت. اقصف البنك، اقصف الدار، اقصف اللي بدك اياه، سوي اللي بدك اياه.
خلي يا ابو يونس ودك الاطفال يموتوا؟
انت خلص بتكاش الاطفال يموتوا ما تقصف البنك. البنك حيطان، شو قاعد تقصف حيطان؟
يا ابو يونس هذا مش بايدي، بقول لك صراحه مش بايدي. انا بايدي شيء واحد، انت حتعيش بسلام.
انا بدي
انت والاولاد.
السلام اللي من عندكم ما بدنا اياه. السلام اللي من عندكم ما بدنا
اياه. لو ما بتطلع من البيت هذا انتحار، هذا حرام.
حرام اللي بدك اياه سويه.
حرام من القران.
قرآن انت بتعرف القرآن؟
لا.
انت اصلا في القرآن ممنوع ملعون. سوي اللي بدك اياه حبيبي. اللي بدك اياه سويه، كله بده يموت عندنا. احنا عندنا الموت زي الحياة عندكم.
Do you see that phrase? This is very common. This is a very common thing that they say. They acknowledge that Jews and Israelis love life and value life. And they say, we love death the way you love life. No problem. We're ready to die. We want to die. We don't care about your warnings. And then when they die, it's like, look, they're killing us. This is just sickening.
موت زي الحياة عندكم. الخير اللي منكم بدناش اياه. بلغ قيادة جيش الدفاع تبعتك انه ابو يونس ما بده يطلع من البيت. سووا اللي بدكم اياه
تمام انا
واللي
بحاكي
واللي بترميه
I assume that after this call, they called them probably again and again and again, and they did this with many people, and and some of them then started complaining, saying they're harassing us, telling us to evacuate. They are saving your lives, you absolute idiots.
Yeah. But just, you know, it seems like all the pro-Palestinians just treat the Palestinians as some kind of like retarded children, basically, with no responsibility, without any regards to their action.
Yeah.
No
It's like
dignity.
it's like they don't know better.
Yeah.
They have no responsibility at all. It's just so ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going to go through some super chats. If you want to stick around, feel free. If not,
sure, I will stick around.
Okay. Pondering Jew said, meaning all these improbably biblical prophecies are being fulfilled in front of our eyes. Oh, this is in context of an earlier conversation. Yes, I saw that. Pondering Jew. St. Paul said, hey, AP, how did you manage to get Dihya al-Kalbi to your stream?
What is this?
Dihya al-Kalbi is a character in Islamic tradition and literature. I'm not sure how they connected that to you or somebody else. I don't know. But oh yeah, the report is actually that Dihya al-Kalbi was a good-looking man. I think this is supposed to be a compliment. So Yohai Garafi said, "Don't let another Sulaiman reaction go by without mentioning the Palestinian dog tweet." Okay, so there is the thing.
The dog tweet.
The dog tweet.
Yeah, but he claimed he did it for trolling, just to troll the community notes, basically, which is what he claimed to his defense, Sulaiman.
Yeah, and honestly, it could be that was actually his goal, but it just looks very stupid.
Yeah.
Where was that? Where's that tweet? Here, this one. This is what we're talking about. Here he says, Palestinian boy shares his bread with a dog.
Yeah.
And then there's a cat. And the community note says that's a cat. It's just,
you basically say, oh, Steve, this is evidence that community notes is controlled by the Zionists.
By the Jews. The Jews are controlling the community notes. Palestinian boy shares his bread with a dog. That's a cat. It's just so ridiculous. It's too much. Hunting Shark still views any Jew as a legitimate military target. That's why he justifies all the barbarity. Yeah, all Jews are soldiers. The Uralic tribe, here's the corrupted version of Maja 738. Whoever uses the toilet for Allah, Allah will build him a golden toilet in Jannah. Makes sense since Muhammad Hijab said, urinating upon one another. That's what they do. Yeah, that's what he said.
Allah is a janitor.
That's what they do.
Yes, he is. Allah is a janitor. Jason Kelly said, Sulaiman Ahmed looks like he gorged himself twice daily for suhoor, iftar, unlike the Chad AP who looks healthy. Your skin's super clear these days. I don't look healthy. What are you talking about? Thor Daniel said, AP, your take on the Hamas attack yesterday's Holocaust National Memorial Day when world leaders' response was basically Israel, calm down, don't fight. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Hamas is as Hamas does. Terrorists do what terrorists do. Destroy them. That's it. That's what the world needs. No matter who approves of it, destroy them. Finish them once and for all. That's what everyone needs. That's what the whole world needs right now. Pro Note gifted 20 membership. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. The leader of the great cult AP said Pro Note. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, we're a cult. Red Olympus says, and I doubt they released the hostages that suffered the most sexual violence. Yeah, that was one of the concerns, that they probably kept some of them there or executed them specifically because they don't want any of the evidence to get out. Which is why they also don't, they say they don't know how many hostages are alive and how many are not.
But they do know how many children and women were killed.
Yeah, we do know that.
In instant.
Hamas knows immediately, like as soon as an airstrike lands, they know immediately within seconds how many children and women died in the airstrike, but they do not know how many of the hostages they are holding are alive and how many are dead. Red Olympus, what a vague, insane conspiracy theory. The date of concert was changed. What could the plan possibly have been? You have to believe Hamas. They always speak the truth. Human Kirk said, AP, why bother with these debates? That Abdul thinks kafir lives are worthless and excuses anything war crime. Expose them as fascists. Don't reason. I know. I feel like I want to, moving on, just focus on all their lies without ever listening to their justifications. Go ahead, Adin.
I mean, like, he's just openly friend with neo-Nazis, like Nick Fontes and all that.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, the Mufti approved it, so why?
Yeah, it's the same today as it was back then. Mufti Husseini was a friend of Hitler, and today the pro-Palestinian side is once again friends of the Nazis. That's how they work. Sankey, poor jihadis, they didn't expect to have to kill people at a festival and not just their homes. Consider their feelings. I know, it's a tough situation, man. Being a terrorist is not easy. S. Hope says, AP, would you consider reviewing Screams Before Silence? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to or allowed to do that, but I will actually. I made a note on that before. I need to remember that. I will get in touch with the people and ask them. See what happens. I might do that. Mark Roman said this lunatic is actually more dangerous than a Hamas terrorist. The absolute vile lies and obvious reality denying for pro-Hamas camp are just gut-wrenching to listen to. He's so rotten to the core. He is indeed. He is indeed. What? It's lagging? Why is the video lagging? What are people talking about? I don't know. Huh. The stream is lagging? Buffering? Huh. I don't know why. Everything seems okay on my side. It might be the Jews. The Jews are making...
Don't look at me. To be honest, like, it's a question that I actually wanted to ask you, specifically you. It's a bit personal. Like when you left Islam, usually there is the type of people who leave religion, not just Islam, could be Christianity, Judaism, any kind of religion, that we just say, oh, this religious suck. So therefore, all religions sucks. All religions are the problem. So therefore, I should be also against Judaism and Christianity. Be consistent. So why should I support Israel? Because Israel is seen of that religious state.
Well, I can tell you what I think about that. So, I don't view it that way. I don't have anything against all religions. I have a problem with Islam.
Yeah, but how you arrive to that view? Because many people just jump into the conclusion, oh, it's the religion itself that is a problem.
I don't know, because it took a long time. I mean, in the beginnings, when I actually left Islam and then stopped believing in God, there was a point where I was kind of thinking, oh, all religion is just stupid and terrible and all that. There was a brief time, but I think I just developed and matured after that, thought about it further, and I started appreciating religious sentiments and feelings in general. And I appreciate Christianity and Christian culture. I appreciate Judaism. It was very heartwarming to go to Israel and witness it closer there. I think it drew me much closer when I went there. And I just don't think that religions are bad. It's just, I don't know why the stream is lagging. I think that Islam is just a dangerous, harmful, and violent religion, and other religions are not necessarily like that. And I don't support Israel just because I don't support Israel
because it's killed Muslim.
No, I support Israel because there's so much to it, but I think that Israel just has Jews have a big cultural contribution to the region and the world. And I grew up in a family that was very hostile against Jews because of religion. And I came out of that and saw that everything I learned was a lie, basically, and I felt like I want to give back and do something
I
nice.
I personally don't have any deep hate feeling against Islam or Muslims. Like, I served in the IDF with some Muslim. I have some Muslim friends. I don't, we might disagree. I don't think that Muslims or Islam can be inherently evil. Like, I can think it could be interpreted in such an extreme, vicious way. But
Yeah, unfortunately, Islam is actually pretty problematic. Yeah, I don't know, guys, what's happening with the stream. The stream is apparently lagging and freezing, sound off and on. This never happens. Never happens. It's probably because they're trying to shut it down. I don't know.
the church.
Hamas,
Shut it down.
shut it down. The
Going
stupid
now.
man. Owen Robertson, imagine how different if they made the movie Red Dawn today. The Wolverines would be facing protesters to let the invaders take over America. That's basically how it is. People are retarded. I'm sorry to say that.
People are saying, "Oh, Star Wars is about a terrorist group who fighting against no person."
Yeah, yeah.
Like you never like. It's a movie. It's like, why you even think it's an argument to take a movie as a fantasy movie as a political argument?
But no, it is true. Israel is just like the Republic in Star Wars.
It's like the Empire.
No, Israel is actually the Republic. They all get it wrong.
The Empire. And Order 66 is probably the destruction of the Second Temple by the Romans, and they probably revived.
That's how it happens. Yeah, that's what happens.
And Palpatine looked like Ahmed Yassin, the founder of Hamas. I mean, he wore the same clothes even.
Red Olympus, maybe a breaking point. We'll see they're making some of these arguments and take a look in the mirror. Probably not, though. No, they won't. They won't. Moo Joe, what the heck is he talking about? Seriously, why all pro-Hamas are mental low IQ? The fact they had more hostages, that means they're not responsible. He wants to prove the videos are not enough. They are mentally impaired. That's all I can say. Borden said, we were so shocked by the festival being there that we got scared and accidentally killed 200 people. Oops.
360.
Yeah, actually 360, close to 400, and took more of them hostage. Yeah, they didn't want to do that. They were just so surprised that they accidentally killed and accidentally took so many people hostage. That's what happens. It happens to everybody at some point, Yeah. I remember one day I was going somewhere and then I saw a bunch of people and accidentally killed them. Mark Roman, I'm guessing most of those trans festival victims were probably hippies and would have been against Netanyahu's government. Having a festival 5 kilometers from the border was extremely idiotic also. Rest in peace. I wouldn't say that it is idiotic. You could call it naive, maybe. I don't know. But nobody actually anticipated that Hamas would come through the borders. And
I mean, I was expecting Hamas to do such a move only after Hezbollah will do such a move. I expected that Hezbollah will try to raid the borders and then Hamas will follow through.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. Like, it seems logical that first let's give them the strong punch because they're distracted with Hezbollah, and then they take opportunity to. But it just doesn't. It didn't make sense to me initially. But
But it is true that many of the party goers, the people who were at the festival, so it was generally crowds that were not very conservative people and that were pro-peace people. And the same is also true for the kibbutz, for the kibbutzim in the vicinity of Gaza. Many of those that were attacked, kibbutz Be'eri, kibbutz Kisufim, all the others, they were peaceful communities. Many of them were peace activists, pro-Gaza activists.
From Gaza, yeah.
Yes, they always continuously interacted with Gazans and helped them, took them to hospitals, gave them food, advocated for their rights, and so on. And they were the first to be killed. Maybe this should be a message to all those people who say, "Oh, we want peace and free Palestine and stuff like that." They don't care. They will kill you too.
I mean, I remember like reading about how Israel initially, like after Israel occupied Gaza in '67, there was a wave of terrorism from Gaza, of course, like between '67 to '71. Most of the victims were other Palestinians because they basically killed every Palestinian who even thought of having an employment under Israel with Israelis. And basically, how we solve it, we just give them tons of jobs, tons of economic opportunities, basically freedom of movement, all of it. And basically, when the first intifada happened, it just blew up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
and being close to the border is not really so. Many of these kibbutzim, they were created long before the conflict,
they
or
created before Gaza Strip was even a thing.
yeah. Noam 2 said, saw a new Reuters video on people leaving Rafah, still saying the Jews warned, etc., not Zionists, occupiers, etc., always Ali Yahud, even the Reuters reporter. Yep. Hello there, I'm planning on going to Israel on vacation. Got any recommendations for places to visit? Adin, where should Lothar go for vacation in Israel?
Tel Aviv and Jerusalem always must be destination.
Yes.
If you have time, I always recommend Eilat. If you have time and effort.
Yeah. There you have it. There you go. Yohai Gerafi says, of course it wasn't extended. Saturday is always the main day of a festival. Hunting Shark. Notice how Sulaiman demands evidence from Destiny, but never gives any himself. Just makes blanket lies because that's what Dawa guys do. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Atlas Gaming. Jesus, dude, how many lives are you doing? I can hardly keep up watching. LOL. I was planning on doing another live stream tonight, actually, but I think I'm just gonna go and be a guest on a different live stream. It's getting a bit too much. Sankey, whether we agree with him or not, I think we all should at least agree that Suleiman looks and sounds like a dumb individual. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds stupid. It sounds like he always panicking while talking.
Yeah. Sorry, can't listen to this lunatic reality denier. It's like talking to a flat earther, anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist, nothing else. I'm losing brain cells. Last jizya from me. Take care, AP and Adin. Thank you, Mark Roman. I appreciate it. Due to your jizya, you will not be killed. Thank you. Laurie Cheto said, seems the basis of the entire strategy comes from Quran 1875. Did I not tell you that you can have no patience with me, drive everybody else insane through purposeful illogic? It's further than that. There is just, I don't know. I want to talk more about this kind of stuff without dragging anybody else into it, just by myself. Maybe make a stream on how Islam is so much at the core of it, but it's even more insane than that, honestly. It's just pure hate and pure insanity. Jax, these people are just evil, lying with the usual style, denying, and what they don't deny, they try to validate. This is what they do. That's what they do. They're liars. They are liars. That's what they do.
Urinating upon one another. That's what they do.
Yeah. Mark Roman. Okay, I read this. Mars incoming. Thank you so much again, Mars incoming. AP, ironically, I'm getting ads from Gaza during your live sessions. Had to buy premium just to get the negativity out. Thank you. That's a yeah. I can't endure those ads. No, to how are influencers always physically in the same place? They all live in the same country. Do they fly from Europe to the US just for the stream? I think Suleiman actually lives in America. Destiny lives close to Florida, where also Fresh and Fit is. So it's kind of convenient. Yeah. Call of Ghidorah. Did you see Konstantin Kissin's interview with Bassem Youssef? I wanted to have a look, but
I saw a clip that Bassem Youssef just made up, basically claim that the reason why why Palestinian population multiple basically grew since 1993 times, like despite the genocide, it's claimed it's because Israel expelled 1.5 million Arabs from Israel to Gaza.
Oh, maybe there's another thing that I should review. See.
Yeah, we can review together.
I just don't like listening to Busty music. The guy is just so insufferable.
Yeah.
Oops,
It's so easy to it's so obvious he just started to get aware about the conflict only a few months ago and just throw out any talking point that he just encountered.
Yes. By the way, I'm going to end the live stream in a few minutes, but I'm pinning here in the chat Rebecca's live stream. So I think she is about to go live. If anyone is interested, go and watch her. It's probably going to be interesting. Yeah. Hey, Joshua, alhamdulillah, thanks for the membership. My leather straps bursted open with joy. Don't thank me. Thank Mars Incoming. Was it Mars Incoming? I don't know. What was the name? Mars Informing? Mars Incoming. Yes, Mars Incoming. Thank you, Mars. Saul Willis, AP, thank you for all you do and sharing your knowledge. You must school this guy. We will be there to see it. I wish. I will try to set up a debate with Sulaiman. Let's see how that goes. Gideon's World said, wait until the Dawa guys found out AP gets sent crates full of shekels from the Jews. Yeah. I have a storage here, a warehouse that is full of boxes full of shekels that the Jews are sending me for everything. Yeah. That's why I do this. Otherwise, I don't care about the conflict or whatever it is, I'm doing all of this just for the shekels. Haraquin DGG member here. Been loving your streams, supporting his hard work, studying so much, and still beating life scholars like Twinklestein. Thank you. Very, very nice. DGG is Destiny's community.
I mean, Norman Finkelstein basically lost his audience. Basically, does he have any followers anymore? It's become considered too moderate.
Yeah. There was a thing where recently he said he went on campus and said, I don't agree with the slogan from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. We should instead say from the
Palestinians should be free.
Yes, and they all just ignored him.
Yeah, boo him. And also when he claimed that we should not make the argument that Jews, Zionists control America.
Yeah. No, you can't say it. You can't do that because they all believe that stuff. But yeah, Destiny made a fool out of the guy. Seriously, it's I messaged Destiny afterwards. I said, hey, it went much better than expected. Much respect. But seriously, he actually sat there and he educated Finkelstein, who claims to be like the expert who read everything, on basic things such as the definition of genocide, how genocide is determined, and so on. Finkelstein didn't know the terminology when Destiny did. Benny Morris is there, the ultimate scholar, approving and basically agreeing with Destiny and seeing and confirming how he is actually getting it right while Finkelstein is getting things so wrong. It was fantastic to see. I don't know. Finkelstein is a fraud.
The only clip, when I saw that the only clip that anti-Zionists shared from the entire debate was just Norman Finkelstein calling Destiny moron, I realized that they don't have any good point.
He got angry because Destiny was saying was calling him out on not knowing the terminology and was saying, did you even read the documents? And once he did that, Finkelstein became very angry and was like, Mr. Borelli, please stop. Yeah. It's beautiful. Pondering Jew. Also, affirmative action towards Arabs here in Israel is ridiculous. Many terrorists were employed in Israeli hospitals and schools. Insane. It is also a thing that many of the people who actually had jobs inside Israel were helpful in the attacks against Israel, in the terrorist attacks. Which is
we don't know the extension of how common it was. There is some eyewitnesses who claim that someone that they hired, that they give him job, who led Hamas, later on helped to lead Hamas where to go. But I still don't know. I don't want to say something that wasn't fully confirmed by.
And finally, Valkyrie says, this pig is not just low IQ. He is on a mad dash to perpetuate a false narrative. He knows what he's doing. These are purposeful, blatant lies, and it needs to be exposed immediately. I know, and I really...
I mean, I would appreciate it if you will just remove the investigative journalist title.
Yeah, he's not an investigative journalist.
He
If
doesn't
he is, then
raise
he's doing
any
terrible.
new information. He just steal everything. Like he just spread memes and everything that everyone else already reported before him.
He also says Israel did 9/11 and everyone knows it. So that's the investigative journalism that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So here, this is the guy, the most reliable person on the internet, of course. I agree, Valkyrie. I agree. I hope that I can set up a debate with him. I'll do my best. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. I will be live again later, maybe on my channel, maybe not until I'm live or I'm a guest on this channel called Truth Gospel Truth with David Wood together. Until then, have a fantastic day, everyone. Thanks for joining, everybody, and thank you so much, Adin, for joining me.
Appreciate it. Hopefully, we will be able to do it again sometime.
Yes, we should talk again, and we will continue boosting each other and following each other on Twitter, on X, where again, yes, follow Adin here on Twitter or X, Adin Haykin 1. Always very, very good stuff.
Instagram or whatever.
And he also says the Jew the protocols warned you about, thereby confirming that the protocols of the elders of Zion are totally authentic, and he is part of it. And yes, I'll see you all.
I'm about to go back to the army in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Nice. To continue the protocols. That's good. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic day. And as I always say, stay away from Islam. Bye-bye.